that I don't slip over here as I walk off the pitch. But Richard, when you hear Paul Nixon talking about stripping back the levels of discipline that are currently in place and replacing them and redefining them, what did you make to what he had to say there?
Yeah, it's a fair point. You know, they could commission a panel and say, look, the point on Friday night was at what point does the ball become dead and no further action can take place until the next ball is delivered. Jimmy Neesham, who's obviously the man at the centre of this as far as Northampton are concerned, has actually tweeted today and pointing out that the rules say the ball is not dead until the umpires believe that both the bowling side and the batting side consider it to be dead. And clearly his point is that at that, you know, when he basically pushed McManus out of his ground so that he would be the one run out, they were both standing at the far end at that stage, then he clearly, as a member of the batting side, did not consider the ball to be dead. And strictly speaking, he's right. Essentially, you know, he pushed the spirit of cricket in that respect arguably to its limit, but you know, the game isn't played, you know, it's not the spirit of cricket, it's not codified. Yeah. The spirit of cricket, it's, you know, you play according to the rules, and he played absolutely according to the rules. So you know, he got a send-off when he was run out by Tom Taylor. You know, it wasn't just Aaron Lilly, but Lilly ran a long way to make his point, which was thoroughly unnecessary. He was on his way out at that stage. Yes, arguably, you know, one of the players told him it was karma, but he with a few fairly juicy, you know, adjectives as well alongside them. But I can see the covers actually starting to come off now, which is good news, Owen, out there. So yes, you know, from a wider point of view of cricket, it would not possibly be a bad thing if there was some sort of you know, ruling as to exactly when the ball is dead. But I think it could be one of those slightly grey areas when it is always in the umpire's discretion. The umpires, must be said, sided with Neesham and Northamptonshire in this situation. They were quite happy. They did not send Neesham out. They said no, you know, McManus is the one who has to go in those circumstances, and they are the arbiters. So rightly or wrongly, you know, Leicestershire should have, knowing what the background was, you can't help feeling that they needed to just suck it up.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting that that Leicestershire are focusing on that particular action from Jimmy Neesham and the Northamptonshire team, because it may be pushing the spirit of the rules. Owen, I think it probably is pushing the spirit of the rules, but it wasn't rule breaking. You know, it is questionable when the ball is dead, particularly when it's in a fielder's hands, which is basically what Leicestershire were arguing, that if it was a comfortable single and definitely not a two, if it's in the fielder's hands, then they're suggesting the ball is dead. Well, under certain circumstances, that's absolutely not true. So I don't really think, I have no problem at all really with what Jimmy Neesham did, I have to say. You can argue over whether it's fair to his teammates and what that says about what Jimmy Neesham thinks of his teammates, that he's willing to run them out because he thinks he can win the game for them. But I don't think, I don't have a problem with what he did at all. And they were trying to win the game. We all try and bend rules and try and manoeuvre the rules in our favour, and he wasn't breaking them. So I don't know how they can be that critical of him. The problem is Leicestershire have a discipline problem, not that Jimmy Neesham was breaking the rules of the game. That's the main problem here. That's what Leicestershire need to focus on. You can argue about whether, as Richard has done, as we have done already, whether this is a fair punishment, whether it would have happened to different counties. However, I still think the main issue at hand here is that it's Leicestershire's problem, not anybody else's.
Indeed, and you're listening to BBC Radio Leicester Sport as we bring you live T20 Blast action from Grace Road on DAB digital radio and on the BBC Sounds app, not to mention the BBC Sport website and app as well. I'm just right directly pretty much underneath you guys in the pavilion, because just sheltering from a little bit of the moisture that is still in the air, although it does seem to have actually stopped raining, but with no one on this pitch for the last 10 minutes or so, it's going to make it very, very slippy indeed. We'll get on to how the conditions may actually help Leicestershire in this game in the next few moments or so. But I just had two very, very different, and this is the beauty of T20 cricket, and hopefully will bring a bit of a smile to your faces, lads, and also everyone else that's listening as well. I've just had two moments where people have come up to me. The first one was a Leicestershire fan has come up and he said, did they really get a level 1 for the 2 balls bowled by Naveen ul Haq? And I said, yep, and he walked off swearing, and I'm glad the microphone wasn't pointed in those two words that I will never ever get anywhere near to saying on the radio.
I hasten to add, Owen, that it has to be two of those deliveries automatically are a level 1 offence.
Yeah.
So there was no choice about that one.
No, of course. But however, that left that Leicestershire fan thinking that was the wrong decision. And then I had a very happy chappie come up to me, and it was Mike Grosner, the head coach of the Leicester Falcons American football team, who is at his first ever T20 match today. So I suppose that's the beauty of T20 cricket, the seriousness nature of how some Leicestershire fans are taking those deductive points and people finding their way into the game for the very first time. We were supposed to be having a bit of a delayed start that was due to get underway in around 10 minutes time. But Richard, the rain has been pouring down. I wonder for you, now Leicestershire have been put into bat, how you think that may or may not help them, particularly with a lack of players on this outfield as the rain was pouring.
I don't think it'll make too much of a difference. I'm a little bit surprised Yorkshire have chosen to bowl first. They bowled very badly in defeat against Birmingham up at Headingley on Friday night. And, they do like to chase. So, I guess you play to your strengths in that respect. But they, I would assume, are aware that Leicestershire have won most of their games by batting first. So perhaps there's a little bit surprised. Perhaps we didn't need to have a toss. They probably could have agreed beforehand. We want to bat. OK, we want to bowl, then that's fine, which we've done in the county championship in recent years. Changed back to it this season, unfortunately, but there you go. So I don't think they'll make massive amount of difference. There might be a few sort of skidding around, but remember, unlike you, they do have spikes on their boots.
Yeah, I don't think this particular brand of trainer have spikes on the bottom, Richard, and I don't think they're meant to be out there on the outfield as well. But it'll be interesting to see how this ball manipulates itself, particularly on the. I know the wicket has been covered, Adam, but Paul Nixon was talking about how this might be a little bit difficult for the spinners of Yorkshire to really get involved and get the action that they need today.
Well, we saw what happened when the ball gets wet, because that's one of the reasons why Leicestershire were found to have breached discipline was because the ball got wet, a bit dewy in Naveen ul Haq's hand, and that was why Leicestershire say anyway that he bowled those 2 beamers that meant he had to be taken off. It's always a challenge, but I would rather be batting in these sorts of conditions than I would bowling, because Yorkshire will have to dry the ball throughout the game. We might see some full tosses accidentally, we might see some rank balls, some deliveries bowled shorter or fuller than expected. They just lose that little bit of control, Yorkshire, and what Leicestershire will hope is that it dries up by the time that Leicestershire are bowling to ensure that they can make use of that advantage. But at the moment, I think this plays into Leicestershire's hands a little bit. It's a funny old occasion, this, isn't it, Owen? We were expecting this morning, we woke up this morning hoping for a really great game and a really exciting match, a do-or-die clash, and it's just a bit flat, isn't it? Which is such a shame. This could have been a great sporting occasion, another one in this city. We've had a brilliant year, there we go. There's still a game to play. It should be an exciting game, but it's just such a shame. It's such a shame that this feels a bit flat today.
We should say that Yorkshire do have something to play for still, because they could still get a home quarter final. They could theoretically, depending on results elsewhere, finish second in the group. So if they do finish second in the group, then they would have a home quarter final and have home support up at Headingley.
Indeed, and that's always key as in a T20 Blast game, never mind a quarter-final as well. And we'll have to wait and see, as we've just been talking about the way in which Leicestershire will attack this game. But Richard, you know these players. I mean, you are, during the summer months, you see these players more than you probably see your own family. So, I mean, you know these guys back to back. And I think you will have the best kind of gauge on this about how they will go out there and they will treat today, knowing that there is little to play for in the T20 Blast, but still lots of pride and a point to prove, maybe.
Yeah, they're all triers, and whatever happens, as Paul Nixon said, they will try their best. But you couldn't blame them if it isn't quite sort of the 100%, not effort. They'll give 100% effort every single time, but maybe just on edge, when it's in the back of your mind that, well, whatever we do, even if we win the game, it isn't going to make a difference. Then it is. You're basically not human if that doesn't affect you in a little way. And remember, you talk about knowing the players. How infrequently in recent years Leicestershire have been in this sort of position. In 2019, they should have qualified for finals day that year, and I don't think any Leicestershire supporters will need reminding that a couple of pieces of misfielding, including one horrendous piece of misfielding, and that was by Aaron Lilly as it happened at Trent Bridge, cost them an appearance on finals day that year. So obviously we haven't been to finals day over the last 11 years, is it now, something like that, and so they wouldn't be human if it doesn't just affect them in a little way. But I can see them playing very well here, and I think they will.
Do you think there is that kind of point to prove, Adam, that Leicestershire will want to show that had the points not been deducted, that they would have still qualified for those quarterfinals?
Yeah, I think that's it's a bit hollow, but I think it is meaningful to be able to walk off the pitch and say we essentially did qualify, we got enough points, we won enough games to qualify. I think there is value in that for Leicestershire, just because they won't, and because the phrase of the full sentence will be we won enough games to qualify, but it just means I'm hopeful that Richard is right about the way that Leicestershire play this, but you can easily see a situation where they lose their heads, can't you, because of what has happened, and because their minds might be on something else. But I don't think that will happen. They've got a home crowd to entertain. It won't be a good look for them if they lose heavily, having got this result earlier on in the day. They can defiantly say that they won this game regardless. That sends a big message, I think, to their supporters and to the rest of the counties in the Division 2. Don't forget, we're talking about Leicestershire's value and contribution to English cricket at the moment. But there are rumours that smaller counties' place is changing or under threat slightly. And the more that Leicestershire compete, the better they do, the more games they win, the more times they beat Yorkshire, Birmingham. They send the signal to the ECB that they have a big role to play in this sport and in the game in this country. And so every time they do that, and every time they win games, they further their place and strengthen their position within the English game.
We're not too far away from the beginning of this game, with their place just about to get underway in the next couple of minutes or so. An unchanged side named by Paul Nixon as well. So Nick Welch and Lewis Hill going to be opening the batting for the Foxes. So with that, as the Yorkshire fielders take their way out onto the pitch, let's hand to your match day commentary team for the final T20 Blast game of the season for your Foxes. To take you through it is Adam Whitty and Richard Ray.
Thank you very much, Owen. Yes, good afternoon. Well, this was supposed to be do or die. A winner takes all, straight shootout for the quarterfinals until about 11 o'clock today. As it stands, this now is all about pride for Leicestershire at the very least. For Yorkshire, as Richard was saying, there is an opportunity to get through and get a home semi-final. They are guaranteed pretty much, they are guaranteed mathematically it is possible that Nottinghamshire can usurp them if they lose today, but they are essentially guaranteed a place in the quarterfinals. We were hoping, from a Leicestershire perspective, that it could be Leicestershire usurping them on the final day, but as it is, it won't be that way. Grey clouds overhead. It's a little bit mild and chilly today, but it's dry for the time being, and a decent crowd in to see this game.
There's a lot of light cloud away where the weather's been coming from, so I think this is the worst of it that has just about gone past. Now, the umpires are telling the ground staff that holes have been left in the outfield. There are permanent sort of holes where they put some fielding nets up for practice beforehand, and the sort of little squares, the circles that they use to block up the holes haven't been put back out. Some of the Yorkshire players are obliging by putting them into place now, and here comes a member of the ground staff who's suddenly realised, oops, I've forgotten to do something.
Both teams unchanged. So Leicestershire have picked the same team that won by 1 run in a thriller on Friday night against Northamptonshire. Yorkshire have picked the same team that lost to Birmingham on Friday night too, in what was a very high scoring game. Both teams getting over 200 in that match, but they have decided to go with the same team regardless. So that Leicestershire team: Welsh, Hill, Lilly, Ackerman, Mulder, Patel, Mike, Kimber, Ahmed, Parkinson and Olhack. And the Yorkshire team: Lythe, Allen, Kohler, Cadmore, Milan, Brooke, Willie, Khan, Thompson, Hill, Revis and Bess. So to start us off from the pavilion end will be George Hill. Who is
batting all-rounder, really.
And he will get us underway. Tall man, fair-haired. And he practices. We've got a bit of a delayed start here. The batters have been waiting for quite some time. It's Nick Welsh and Lewis Hill who will open the batting. Leicestershire all in green, Yorkshire in a sort of faded blue with black trousers. Here we go then, the final game of the T20 Blast on the final round of action, and it will be Hill to get us underway. That's Yorkshire's Hill. We'll have probably Hill bowling to Hill at some stage.
Possibly, but I should think George is about 1.5 foot taller than Lewis, so hopefully we'll be able to get them the right way round.
So he spins the ball in his hands. We're still waiting for to get underway. Very delayed. We are 2-3 minutes
Nick
delayed.
Welch has got something in his eye, the Leicestershire opener. So Lewis Hill has gone down to check him out.
Just a reminder, if you've just switched on for the start of the match, we had a 10-minute delay because of rain. And if you haven't heard the big news coming out of Leicestershire today, they will not make it through to the quarter-finals because they have been docked 2 points because of disciplinary issues, found guilty on 2 counts. And what was a do-or-die game has now become a dead rubber for Leicestershire anyway. Right, we are finally ready. Nick Welsh with a very open stance, batting on leg stump as Hill comes in now. He bowls. Oh, and beats him outside off stump. That's a beauty, lovely bit of swing on that. That's a jaffer. And Welsh dangled the bat outside, but that was too good for him. That was probably too good for everybody, as there is no run.
We should say this is the same pitch that was used on Friday night in the game against Northamptonshire, during which the best part of, 430 runs were scored on it. So I don't anticipate that sort of movement to continue.
As Hill runs away from us now, he's up to the wicket, he bowls. Oh, and this hit down the ground, big hit, great pick up from Welsh. That's gone for 6 and goes over the scoreboard and in towards the crowd. There's a couple down there who were diving for covers. They wouldn't have seen that as they're behind the scoreboard and the ball came flying over them. Great hit from Welsh. He has got a few big hits in him. He's an aggressive batter, big, powerful man, and that was a great pick up. First boundary of the day and a big 6 as well.
Yeah. The movement didn't continue. Other than back over the bowler's head, it absolutely was in the slot from the 21-year-old from Keighley there, George Hill. David Willey shows the ball to Nigel Long, who decides that it is too battered. So we are going to have an immediate change of ball. It did land on concrete down there below us, so
it would have landed, yes, going at quite some speed. So the nuclear codes, or the suitcase that features all of the balls, I can't imagine there are too many balls in there that are 2 deliveries old.
This is going to be a long old game, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We've had 2 balls and several delays already. Presumably this is effectively a new ball. David Willey doesn't look very impressed. He says that's not 2 balls old.
He's not happy at all.
That's a bit battered.
Well, this is the problem. With only 2 deliveries gone, he's still really not happy, having a word with the umpire, saying this ball is too old, I would imagine, and has probably got a bit of the lacquer taken off it, which will mean it'll swing less, maybe bounce less too. Nick Welsh is has had a towel brought out for him. I don't know whether he's still got something in his eye, or this is all rather farcical, the delay, the start to this game.
Kind of seems appropriate to the occasion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With what's gone on beforehand. Well, Willie normally swings the new white ball in his opening over at any rate, so he would have wanted a fairly new one, but clearly that isn't new enough as far as he's concerned.
So we're now ready to get going. What a strange start to this match. Hill, with 18 on his back, hair bouncing as he runs in, bowls down the leg side, and that's a wide. Welsh tried to flick it away on the leg side, didn't get anything of it. The two fielders out during the first 6 overs during the power play at deep point and deep square leg.
So we've still only had 2 legitimate deliveries.
in 6 minutes. Yeah. Yeah, we've had some eye trouble. We've had a replaced ball, a wide as Hill bowls, and it hits Welsh on the pad. The umpire's head down, walking away immediately as the ball is fed out into the leg side. And the leg by single is given, so 8 for no loss now the score. Welsh stays on 6 from 3 deliveries. And we do have Hill bowling to Hill. As you say, though, one much taller than the other. Lewis Hill, the Leicestershire batter. George Hill, the Yorkshire bowler. Willie claps his bowler as he runs in now, and he bowls a full slower delivery, which is defended by Hill. He sends Welsh back. He'd come about a third of the way down the track and then had to shudderingly stop and turn and run back. There is no run. Score remains 8 for no loss. And you're right, the weather looks like it's improving. We can see almost, that looks like blue sky over there. It's certainly white cloud that is making its way over from the west. Sure. It's good for our chances of play. Hill bowls, and this is chipped high up in the air. He's going to be caught. It was a poor shot from Hill, just trying to loft it over the infield, but didn't time it at all. And you won't see a simpler catch to mid-off in all your years. A simple take for Willie, and Hill has to go. Well, Lewis Hill has to go. George Hill gets his first wicket. Hill out by Hill, and Leicestershire are 8 for 1.
Yeah, didn't hit through it at all, did he? He tried to check the shot, but he was already committed, and as you say, couldn't have been a simpler catch, really. And so the farcical nature of the over continues.
Aaron Lilly makes his way out into the crease. The man at the centre of one of the
yeah, 1 or 2 cat calls.
Yeah, the man in the centre of one of the disciplinary issues at the very least. He came charging in to have words with Jimmy Neesham on Friday night, and it was he who has been he was found to have verbally abused Jimmy Neesham, the World Cup 2019 finalist. Let's see if his bat can do the talking this time. He's in early.
He did commit one of the other previous offences as well, dissent at Nottingham at Trent Bridge. You may remember that. Yeah. That was in a T20.
Well, he's facing now. He bobs his knees as Hill bowls and beats. He's beaten outside off stump. A lovely delivery from Hill to end the over. Well, what a very strange over that was. It's taken us the best part of 10 minutes. We've had a lost ball. We had a wide. We've had a wicket. We've had a big 6 from Welsh. An extraordinary opening over on a very strange occasion. All told, Leicestershire 8 for 1 after 1 over of this game.
It will be the Yorkshire captain, David Willey, who will not be Yorkshire captain too much longer, having announced in the last week or so he is going to return to Northamptonshire, the county of his birth, next season. He's going to be bowling over the wicket to Nick Welsh, 6 at just 1 scoring shot off the 3 balls that he's faced. They did have a very good power play against Northamptonshire, the best of the competition, Leicestershire, on this pitch on Friday night.
Much better batting performance, wasn't it?
It was indeed. 61 for 1 in the power play as Willie comes down the slope from the Bennett end, loses his run-up and decides to abort it. and because he just found his foot slipping on what looked to be a raised square, perhaps one of the taps under there, the water taps, just come a little bit loose. The cover runs in, and bowls full and looking to hit straight back over the top, thick inside edge from Welch onto the pad, bounces down towards sort of fourth slip gully area. Cola Cadmore runs across from behind the stumps. He too, of course, has announced he's moving on back to well, I say back to the West Country, if you like. He was originally Worcestershire. He's going back to Somerset.
Yeah, quite a few Yorkshire, sort of a refresh on and off the field at Yorkshire.
Willie is in and bowls. Waiting for it is Welsh, dabbing it down, but only as far as the man at backward point. So feel he missed out perhaps a little bit there.
It's noticeably quiet, Richard, here, isn't it?
Yeah,
but,
it is. It understandably slightly flat feeling to proceedings.
Which is such a shame. You can imagine what it would have been like if Leicestershire hadn't been deducted those points. It would have been bouncing. It was a great atmosphere on Friday night against Northamptonshire.
Willie is in, pulling is Welsh and missing again as it swung back in towards him, came off the pad and bounced out again towards that backward point. Shadab Khan is the fielder there, running in, favouring the turquoise cricket boots, if they are indeed cricket boots, as sported also by Josh Cobb of Northamptonshire. I haven't seen many others, got to be said. It's a bold-fashioned statement.
Yes, that's a polite way of describing it.
You've got to have a certain amount of belief in your own style. Willie, good over so far, is in. Bowls a good bouncer as Welsh came down the pitch to him, and Welsh went down on one knee, went over his head to the wicket keeper. So 4 dot balls from David Willie. So Yorkshire need combination of results elsewhere to go their way, but they could finish anywhere up to second, theoretically. Right, the man at point is going out to the boundary, which means Jordan Thompson has to come up from third man to short third man inside the circle. Willie in to Welsh, who hits him high over mid-wicket, over the manual scoreboard, over the Geary bar for 6.
Yeah, and they're going to try and use that short boundary to the leg side for Welsh. There is a big long boundary on the offside to the right-hander from the Bennett end, but it's a very short one on the leg side, and Welsh with a very good pick up there. And again, that's good batting from Welsh. The pressure was beginning to build, wasn't it, because of those 4 dot balls. But they have got probably the bare minimum that they need from this over with that one shot now.
And the ball has come back as well. So although umpire Long went down to commune with Johnny Tattersall, who's carrying the box with the various new, it is full of replacement white balls. It's not as though he's got a small number to choose from, but the old one has come back from the Milligan Road. All the businesses down there, it being a Sunday, closed. Some very interesting sort of small businesses, white goods, etc. In goes Willie, bowls to Welsh outside off stump, very full. Welsh looks hopefully to umpire Paul Pollard, thinking it might have been a wide, but it was very full. Slightly, just about cut to the blue line, but it was a good delivery from David Willie. 5 very good deliveries in that over. The 6th, unfortunately from his point of view, fortunately from the Foxes, Welsh picked up and put over the manual scoreboard for 6. So he has 12 off 9 balls, just 2 scoring shots, both maximums, and Leicestershire after 2 overs are 14 for 1.
You're listening to BBC Radio Leicester, DAB, the BBC Sounds app, the BBC Sport website and app. Thank you for your company this afternoon as Leicestershire play Yorkshire in their final T20 Blast match. Floodlights on as Hill will bowl his second over. 7 off at the first as he comes in, bowls, and it's cut by Lilly, and that's going to go out towards deep backward point where it's fielded by the man running round to his left. He launches it in right-handed, and Lilly is off the mark with that shot. He's on 1. 15 for 1 is the score. That was a very tame cheer from the crowd. It's a flock of birds. It's not a flock, is it? Encircles the ground. As Hill bowls, tosses this one up, and it's driven for 4. It was right in the slot outside off stump, half volley length, and Welsh, he's a big burly man, was straight onto that and punted it through for 4. It was uppish, but perfectly safe. There is a man in the infield in the covers, but it was well wide of him, and it raced away for 4. So 19 for 1. Welsh looks in good nick here. A couple of big shots. He's dealing only in boundaries. 2 6s and a 4 so far. As Hill comes in, bowls. Oh, that's a good bouncer, really good bouncer. Wasn't expecting that, Welsh, and he was. The ball was past him by the time that he had followed through with his attempted pull shot, but that went through to the wicket-keeper. Good bit of bounce on that too, as it went through for the dot ball. Score remains 19 for 1.
Yeah, he's only been in the side for the last 4 games, Nick Welsh, having been injured previously, not in. 41 not out, that is, to start.
As Hill bowls, oh, this is a big hit, heaved, it was a slower ball, the fielder is going to watch it go for 6. That's a big hit out towards the long boundary. Again, it just felt like it was in the slot, and Welsh was onto it quickly, about hip height, short, slow, and heaved over towards cow corner for a massive 6. That's Welsh's 3rd, and that was a big old blow. 25 for 1 is the score.
He's a clean hitter, 41 not out, 37, 11 and 38 his scores so far this season.
As Hill comes in, he bowls, and this is cut, and that's for 4. Great shot from Welsh. This is what they need in the power play, just that little bit of impetus and pace and aggression from the batting. And he made room for himself, Welsh, and it was an orthodox cut shot really, but it found the gap quite comfortably. There's no fielder out on the offside on that short boundary, and it raced away to the boundary rope for 4 runs. It's been a really good addition, hasn't he, for Leicestershire? There's that change of openers. Harry Swindles didn't unfortunately last very long, but Welsh has deservedly kept his place. He faces Hill now and glances this away on the leg side. Are they going to look for 2? It's out to the short boundary. They are not running back for the second. Lilly turned and ran for it, but he was sent back by Welsh, who moves on to 27 from 14. And the score 30 for 1.
End of the over.
End of the over. 16 from it. Very profitable over, and they're going at 10 and over so far. We've had 3 overs of this T20 match. Leicestershire 30 for 1, and Welsh setting the tone and setting the pace rather nicely.
And for Yorkshire listeners on the stream, Welsh is actually a Zimbabwe-born man. They picked him up, the Foxes, via Loughborough University, where we get quite a few of the players. Has had a lot of bad luck with injuries, but they'll be hoping that he forms an important part of their Royal London Cup side. Leicestershire lose 3 to the Royal London, 3 of their would have been in the Royal London Cup to the 100. Shadab Khan is going to have a bowl from the Bennett end. In he comes and bowls outside, more or less on off stump, and Welsh is careful initially, leaning forward, pushing it back up the pitch to the Pakistan international leg spinner. Jogs in and bowls. Down the pitch goes Welsh, hits very straight, over mid, off, over long off, in fact, into the green seats at the Bennett end for his 4th 6. He's just dealing almost solely in maximums, Nick Welsh, but they haven't been just dropping over the ropes, have they? They've gone a long way over the ropes. 33 off 16 for him now.
Yeah, it's been a big old hit. That was a monster.
Khan is in. Welsh goes back, pulls over mid-wicket for another 6. That one's into the family stand. Gentleman has dropped it there. Oh, he looked to be shaping well, reaching to his left, two-handed, but it burst through his hands, front row of the seats. And that is another maximum for Nick Welsh. 39 off 17 for him, 42 for 1. Khan is in, and that's a much quicker, flatter delivery, understandably enough, driven by Welsh through the vacant mid-on area down towards long on. 1 is taken. He moves on to 40 off just 18 balls, 43 for 1. Best score of the season then already for Nick Welch. After 3.4 overs, Khan is in, tosses it up to Lilly, who waits for the fullish delivery, clips it firmly through the same area, through mid-on, down towards long on. Single taken.
In theory, Paul Nixon, I think, would be saying down on the dugout that he should go on and get 100 from here, from this quick start. Much easier said than done, but he's put himself in a good position, Welsh, to do that.
Certainly has. Khan is in, leaning forward is Welsh, pushing out towards backward point, running in from backward point. Fielder ensures there's no chance of a quick single. George Hill, that is. And will he continue? Because that is the end of the over. He leaves his cap on, so we're going to have a change of bowling from the pavilion end as well.
BBC Radio Leicester, Richard Ray, Adam Whitty with you up in the commentary box at Grace Road as we bring you live T20 action between the Leicestershire Foxes and the Yorkshire Vikings. What we were hoping was going to be a massive sporting event, a do-or-die match for both teams to make it through. As it happens, it isn't quite like that for matters off the field. As you say, change of bowling. It's Matthew. Did we decide Revis at Headingley? If any Yorkshire
I think
listeners.
Revis, really.
Revis.
Don Revy.
He's bowling from the pavilion end. His first delivery is back of a length, bit of bounce, and Lilly tries to heave it over the covers uppishly and misses the ball, and there is no run. Would Revis not have two V's though? That's the only thing. It's R-E-V-I-S.
Don Revy didn't, did he?
Yeah,
But some people called him Revy, but most people called him Don Revy, so...
Let's go.
Goes with,
he bowls, and it's hit down the ground. It was not as well timed as I thought, and it just missed the right hand of Revis, and runs down the ground. It's fielded by Willie, who stops the boundary, and Lilly gets just a single for that. He moves on to 3. Welsh is on 40 now on strike. As a big tall figure of Revis runs in, he bowls, and that's nicely glanced down the ground for 4. Welsh on form here, lovely shot down to third man. It beat the infielder, and Welsh is fit and firing here. He moves on to 44 from 20 deliveries, 3 4s, 5 6s. This is a great platform set by the young Zimbabwean.
Has waited for it.
And their fortunes in reality, Richard, improved after that, didn't they? Revis bowls, and down the ground goes Welsh, and he's going to avoid the fielder. Is he going to run away for 4 down the ground? Good stop by Lilly, diving and scoops it back in. He was having to sort of dive, he almost dived over the ball to try and scoop it back in to try and catch up with it. But he did very, very well indeed. You can see the international quality from Willie on show there as Welsh gets 2 more.
That was brilliant. I really would have put an awful lot of money on the ball winning that one, especially down the slope. But it may be that little bit of rain has just softened the ground a fraction.
Revis, brown haired, comes in, and that's a big hit from Welsh out towards the boundary. He should be caught at deep mid-wicket, and is. It's a good tumbling catch. It's a big long boundary out there, and Welsh, who has been hitting and firing at will very well, has holed out to deep mid-wicket. Good tumbling catch from the man out there who launches the ball back in. And Welsh, well, it was a brilliant innings, 46 from 22. Well, I think if you were a Leicestershire fan, you would have hoped and expected perhaps, and maybe it was Welsh's responsibility to go on and get a bigger score than 46. As it is, Leicestershire 51 for 2 at the end of the 5th over.
Yeah, good catch from George Hill, because he had a fair bit of ground to run into to make the catch comfortable, but he did. He came in, judged it really nicely, took it on the run almost, coming running in, but just at about waist high, and never really looked like dropping it. Nick Welsh shaking his head as he goes off there. Of that 46, how many were? Did he hit 5 6s?
He hit 5 6s, yes.
In the end?
So 30.
3 4s and 5 6s.
Yeah. So 42 of the 46 in boundaries. He's an impressive young player. They look like they found something there, and somebody there, don't they, that can make a big impact for them at the top of the order. Next season could be very good for him.
It was the last ball of the over. David Willey is going to come back on from the Bennett end, comes in and bowls outside very full, offside off stump to Aaron Lilly, who tries to dab it away down towards third man, because third man is up on the edge of the circle. Doesn't get anything on it. Bounces through to Conor Cadmore behind the stumps. So of his 7 deliveries, only 1 has been scored off David Willey so far, but it did go for 6. Turns. sort of kicks up his heels, a fairly straight run, bowls, and he's following Aaron Lilly, who is backing away to the leg side, looking perhaps to chop it away through the vacant point area. Lilly brought it back in to the Lancastrian, who was cramped up a little bit, could only dab it down into the ground, and the fielders did the rest. 51 for 2 remains the score.
Lilly doesn't look overly comfortable out there. 3 from 7. It's pretty slow for him. He's the big hitter for Leicestershire. He just hasn't been able to find his timing or the middle of the bat at all yet.
Willie is in. He's going to pick up 4 there. It was wide and full outside off stump. Swung at it, reached for it a little bit, Aaron Lilly, but he got plenty of bat on it. The ball squirted away between backward point and short third man, and having done so, was only ever going to go down to the boundary in front, not quite of the members' seats, just to the right of the pavilion as we look down from it. 55 for 2. Lilly on 2-7. I think we can safely say he owes Leicestershire a few runs here. I think he's probably past it, actually, saying stuff like that. In goes Willie again in the air, almost caught at deep backward, not deep, at backward point by a diving Shadab Khan. Now, did he just dab that into the ground and it bounced up, or was it on the floor? I think that was a catch. I think he was reaching for it and it came off the top edge, and he dived to his left, Shadab Khan. It was really travelling, got 2 hands to it, couldn't cling on. Lilly picks up 1 in the end, moves on to 8, and seeing those 2 shots, Willie decides he's going to have a third man after all, so Hill comes in from point, deep point that is. In goes Willie and bowls outside off stump to Colin Ackerman, who is beaten outside off stump legitimately so. Didn't do too much, but Ackerman, who played brilliantly against Northamptonshire, made his highest ever T20 score, was beaten to the wide by that one.
Yeah, that was a lovely bit of bowling from Willie. And interesting that they, well, I suppose they must have been watching that game on Friday night, probably, Richard, where Ackerman used third man so well, didn't he? Scored a lot of his runs in his 85 in there.
Willie is in again. Ackerman is driving, but only as far as Adam Lythe, who's at mid-off end of the over. Big shout out for Earl Shilton Town Cricket Club, who are today celebrating their centenary. Robert Coe would like us to make that big shout out to local legends Jeff Coe and Les Taylor, pictured on his Twitter feed.
Yes, congratulations to them. End of the over, 56 for 2, so that's the end of the power play. Not too bad. Maybe would have liked a few more, but not too bad. Going at over 9 and over is a decent enough platform. And as you say, Richard, as you make the point regularly, and quite rightly, if you lose 3 wickets in the power play, you are often in a lot of trouble. They haven't done that. They've got enough runs, thanks to Nick Welsh's incredibly aggressive 46. Change of bowling at the pavilion end. Jordan Thompson will bowl. Tall man, black hair, 44 on his back, with a faded blue top and black trousers. He runs in past the umpire and bowls a short delivery which tucks Lilly up somewhat, and he defends into the ground, and they scamper through for single. Colin Ackerman calling the batter through. Ackerman wearing the more fluorescent green pads. Aaron Lilly has darker versions of those. I don't know why some players have fluorescent pads and some don't. Quite garish. As Ackerman twiddles with his bat, it goes up and down as he faces, and he pulls this in the air but safely out to deep mid wicket where it's fielded. They just have the single. That's well fielded by the man out there. It was Shadab Khan who fields and launches the ball back in, just keeping it to 1. 58 for 2 is the score. Yorkshire winning the toss, deciding to bowl here at Grace Road as Thompson comes in. That's a great uppercut from Lilly. He gets 4 runs for it. He moved back over to the leg side to try and make room for himself to hit towards the short boundary on the offside, and Thompson came charging in, bowled it into the pitch, and followed him rather cleverly with the bouncer, but Lilly adapted well, and just with a lovely uppercut, nice flick of the wrist on a bottom hand on that, it raced away for 4 runs. 62 for 2, Lilly on to 13. Maybe that's that shot just a sign that he may have found a little bit of timing. He's been struggling so far in this innings, 1 streaky 4 up to that point. But he's now 13 off 11. Thompson with a slow start, but now builds up pace in his run-up as he bowls this one down the leg side, and it's turned around the corner, well placed by Lilly. There's a chase on with the fielders, but I think they're giving up. Oh, they know there's a miscommunication between the outfielder and the infielder on who's going to go and collect it. It's decided it's the man from deep backward square leg running round, and they run through for 3. Ackerman calling the fall the 3rd. So a little bit of lazy running from Yorkshire, I might suggest. Leicestershire profit, 65 for 2, Lilly on to 16. Well bowled by Thompson in following Lilly, cramping him up for room as he tried to make some space for himself to heave again on that offside. Thompson it is. Runs away from us now. Oh, and he stops. Now, was there a bit of noise there? I think there was a change of field, was there? Kola Cadmore is pointing to something and apologising now. I don't know if you saw what happened there, Richard. I'm not. Somebody shouted something, didn't they?
Yeah, extra cover came running up from deep extra cover, and was Adam Lyth and got himself into the circle in good time. And I think Kola Cadmore didn't realise and thought for a minute they had 1 too few.
Thompson bowls. That's a thick inside edge that races out to deep backward square leg, and the single is taken. It was a bit of an ugly heave from Ackerman. He gets a single from it though. 66 for 2. He was in his delivery stride, Thompson, up and when he was just about to get that delivery away when he was stopped by his wicketkeeper. No harm done though, dead ball called. Big tall man, Thompson. As he holds the ball to his chest now, runs in, bowls a full toss, and it's cover driven out towards deep cover, where it's fielded. Oh, almost sneaked through the fingertips of the man out there. And that is the end of the 7th over. 67 for 2, I should say, is the score. 11 runs from the over. Very profitable one from a Leicestershire perspective. And they have made a solid enough start to this innings, their final T20 match, with Leicestershire unable to make it through. Leicestershire looking to guarantee themselves a home semi-final. Leicestershire's points docking today meant that it is they who have a place in the quarter-finals, when we thought it would be between these two tight sides over who would get through.
Matthew Revis is going to come back on at the Bennett end, so he'll be bowling down the slope. David Willey and he taking time to set the field, which is fair enough. Ackerman made 85 off 44 balls against Northamptonshire. Leicestershire's captain in this competition, but no longer in the red ball competition. That honour now goes to Callum Parkinson. Ackerman, Parkinson and Rehan Ahmed, the new young leg spinner, are the 3 who won't be playing in the Royal London Cup. In goes Revis and bowls very full outside off stump. Lilly on the back foot drives it away through the offside. Ackerman is interested in a second, but Lilly sends him back. I think that's Hill coming in from the boundary. Sort of stumbled as he threw there, and rather got away with not falling over. Could easily have done so. Didn't. Did well to keep his feet. In fact, it's Finn Allen out there.
So you see the Yorkshire second 11 player who scored 400 earlier on this week. Unbelievable.
Another prospect unearthed. In goes Revis and bowls again full outside off stump, slapped hard down into the ground by Ackerman as he drove that one, and good work at diving across to his right at extra cover by David Malan, who ruefully holds his left wrist, but he did manage to stop it. Just a single taken by Ackerman as a consequence. 69 for 2. Again, there is a sort of slightly flat feel around the ground, which was very noisy as in comes Revis and bowls, and down towards third man. Shadab Khan is the fielder this time by Lilly. He picks up a single, moves on to 19.
Yeah, Finley Bean scoring 441 in this Yorkshire second 11 game. He scored over 800.
Played, just curiously, does it say? As Revis comes in and bowls shorter this time, cut away outside off stump, and this time he's got it wide of Shadab Khan for 4. Ackerman really laced into that one. He meant it, the South African, but it was width and it was short of a length from Matt Revis, and Ackerman wasn't going to miss out, didn't.
It's against Nottinghamshire, Richard.
At Lady Bay or one of the Yorkshire?
One of the Yorkshire grounds. Tom Smith, former Leicestershire assistant coach, is the second 11 coach.
Indeed. In goes Revis and bowls. Ackerman is looking to drive again. He brought that one back into him, or it moved back in towards him a little bit. Got a bit of a thick inside edge and rather trickled out towards long on when he was trying to crack it away through the offside again. Ackerman moves on to 8.75 for 2. 2 right-handers, but still plenty of changes going on for each one. 2 very different sort of right-handers, as Revis is in. Slower ball, very full outside, off stump, Yorker length, good ball. Lilly misses out. Revis finishes with that dot ball, 75 for 2 at the end of the 8th over. Revis 1 for 15 from his 2. Lilly has 19 and Ackerman 8.
Yeah, there is a real sort of sense of flatness around the ground, which is a real shame. There's a decent crowd in today. I'd imagine a lot of people will have bought tickets expecting a cracking occasion. It still can be, and we've seen some big hits from Welsh, but it's not the big competition that we were hoping for.
In fairness to the club, they have said that anyone who decides not to come as a consequence of, who'd bought a ticket and decided not to come as a consequence of what happened, can apply for their money back.
The run rate for Leicestershire, 9.4 after 8 overs, 75 for 2. Ackerman on 8 off 7. Lilly 19 off 16. And it is the Netherlands international, Ackerman, who will face Shadab Khan. And he comes down the pitch, smacks him, and that's going to run away for 4. That's going to beat the man at long off, who was not far away from it at all, but it zoomed along the surface and raced away for 4. Shadab Khan, I'm not sure whether he got a little bit of a fingertip on that. It would have been catch of the season had he got it, but I think for his fingers' sake, he's probably glad that he didn't. 4 runs to Ackerman, who hit that very nicely indeed. Shadab Khan's been expensive so far as he comes in, bowls, and he's swept by Ackerman. What lovely timing, and that's going to run away for 4. It splits the 2 fielders out on the leg side boundary in 2 completely. He could not have placed that more perfectly. It was right in the middle of them. Over the boundary rope it goes. So 8 runs from the opening 2 deliveries of the over, and Shadab Khan's 1.2 overs have gone for 22 so far. Heavy stuff from the Pakistan international. What's his comeback going to be? Ackerman on to 16. As he bowls, he's swept again. This one more of a paddle from Ackerman. And it goes straight to the field at deep backward square leg. 84 for 2 now the score. Ackerman playing brilliantly on Friday night. 85 from 44. 9 4s, 3 6s. He set the tone brilliantly for Leicestershire's highest total of the T20 Blast so far. Lilly on strike now after that single as Khan bowls to him, and there was a bit of turn on that, wasn't there, Richard? Nicely played by Lilly in the end, who watched that all the way. It was floated up and tossed up by Shadab Khan, and Lilly just made a little bit of room for himself. Not a lot of foot movement, but guided it away behind square on the offside. He moves on to 20. Khan then, with a jumpy, bouncy run-up, comes in and bowls, and Ackerman flicks this away on the leg side. Are they going to look for 2? No, they're just going to go for the single. Solid fielding again by George Hill, who's been very good out there at deep mid-wicket, hasn't he? Took that good catch off Welsh, and he stopped the 2 there. Ackerman wanted it, but he wasn't going to get it, I don't think, because of the quality of the fielding. Khan up to the wicket, tosses this one up, down the pitch comes Lilly, he hits this high up in the air, I think it's going to be safe, it is, and it's brilliantly stopped on the boundary, scooped back in from the fielder out there, running round from long off.
It's Harry Brook.
It's Harry Brook. That was wonderful stuff from him to stop the boundary. I thought that was going to run away for 4, but Lilly survives. It was an uppish shot, not well timed, but he gets some runs off it. Profitable over that from Leicestershire as they go to the end of the 9th. 88 for 2 is the score, so 13 off the over. Lilly on 22 off 18. Ackerman 18 off 11. And despite the flatness around the ground generally, Leicestershire actually have made a very good start to this innings, going at just under 10 and over. They're on course again, Richard, probably for around the 200 mark. But they've just got to keep this pace up. They've got to keep their wickets in hand as well.
Yeah, and they may need it against the Yorkshire batting lineup. Yorkshire were going really nicely, chasing, having not bowled very well against Birmingham. You know, they were in it till the last sort of couple of overs, weren't they? We were following the scores very carefully on Friday night, so they won't be at all intimidated by a score of over 200 on this track. Jordan Thompson is back on. The Leeds man turned off his legs by Ackerman out towards deep mid-wicket. Single is taken. I wouldn't be surprised if Harry Brook is captaining the Yorkshire white ball side next season, to be honest. In the absence of Willie, when he moves on, I think he's not just impressed with the bat, obviously, this season and in previous seasons, but also with his sort of cricketing sort of nous when he stood in for Willie when he was absent, injured. In goes Thompson and bowls looking for the Yorker. Lilly had backed away and so had to reach right across for the full delivery. Managed to get something on it, squeezed it away down through the vacant backward sort of point area, a bit wider than that really, down towards Shadab Khan on the third man boundary. Lee, relatively restrained in this innings, moves on to 23. Frustrating for the Leicestershire fans though, because the Foxes do seem to have found a really sort of good formula in recent matches. Obviously they have, winning 4 out of 4, but the way it's working today as well. Thompson is in, slightly over pitches, driven by Ackerman, but really good work down there on the long on boundary. Again, Yorkshire fielding well in this game, and it's not an easy outfield on which to field well. It is a little bit bumpy out there, and it is very hard as well.
To dive and pick up the ball at the same time is incredible. To collect it as you're sliding across the ground, collect that cleanly is unbelievable fielding.
Had a lot of ground to make up, 15 yards, something like that, because he hit that pretty straight. Ackerman, who's moved on to 21, waits with bat raised. Thompson is in, bowls a very slow full toss and deceived. Well, it was a full toss, but it came very low to Ackerman. It did deceive him because it was so slow, and he thumped it down into the ground. It's gone very quiet. There we go. And Thompson himself fielded in his follow through. 92 for 2. Good so far this over from Thompson. 4 off the first 4 balls. He's in and bowls. Ackerman is driving away through the offside in the gap in the covers. In from the boundary comes the outrider and keeps it down to a single. Good work out there at deep extra cover in front of the relatively quiet. It may be because it's an afternoon game instead of an evening game, which were always sort of slightly more raucous. But as I say, I do feel that what has happened has had a distinctly dampening effect on the atmosphere here at the Uptonsteel County Ground. 93 for 2. 5 off the over so far. Can Thompson come out of it well? He's telling square leg to come in to from the boundary to conventional square leg, and he's sending mid-off out to long off. Thompson is in. Down the wicket goes Lilly, stepping right across. It's a full ball that would have hit the stumps, but Lilly, playing it as though it was down the leg side, clipped it away to fine leg for 4. So a really nice piece of improvisation on the part of Aaron Lilly, and he was good enough, seeing it well enough to make it work for him as well. He picks up 4, he moves on to 27, and the score at the halfway stage is 97 for 2.
Yeah, that was a decent shot. He choreographed so obviously what he was doing, Lilly. I think he was probably about 3 or 4 paces away from bowling at Thompson there, and Lilly had moved right across his stumps, was leaving all 3 of them exposed, and he probably glanced it off middle stump, I would say. Picked it right off there, and it went very fine indeed. Lovely shot. And he moves on to 27. They're just going in. They're going at enough of a decent pace, aren't they? There's nothing explosive happening, but it is. But they're setting a good pace, these two, Lilly and Ackerman. It's Ackerman who will face Shadab Khan, and he sweeps him. Loves that shot, does Ackerman, and he pulls that off well, off middle stump, sweeping it off on the bounce for a single.
100 for 2 at the halfway stage against Northamptonshire, went on to get 214, so that is the sort of target they'll be aiming at again, 220 maybe.
And it was Colin Ackerman, the man who got them there pretty much, as Khan bowls this one. It's hit high. That's a big hit from Lilly. That's absolutely huge, and that is going to land right into the crowd just to our right hand side. There's going to be a crowd catching there. That would have gone 5 or 6 rows deep if there was a stand down there. Over into the benches it goes, towards the corporate restaurant down there, or the hospitality restaurant, and that was a massive hit from Lilly. I didn't think he got a hold of it at first, but it was in the slot, and my word, did he hit that far. 33 from 21 for Lilly, who waits, bobs his knees as Khan bounces in, and it's a slower ball tossed up and it's guided round the corner by Lilly. It's going to beat the fielder. There's a chase on, and he pulls it inside the boundary rope. I thought the ball might win that, as the angle just deceived the fielder at short third man, short fine leg, I should say, and he pulled it in. Six inches or so from the boundary rope.
Did well there, Revis, didn't he? Because, again, it was travelling.
Yeah. Khan bowls. Flatter. Down the pitch comes Lilly, and he's edged it. And it goes straight to the man at short third man. Comfortable catch. Came down the track. It was the right shot. Got to the pitch of the ball, but I think just misjudged the line of it slightly, or it spun away from him a little bit with his leg spin, Shadab Khan, and he nicked. It was a thick edge that spooned all the way up to short third man. Lilly has to go for an enterprising 35 off 22 deliveries. The third wicket falls for Leicestershire. They're 106 for 3.
Adam Lythe was the catcher.
Very simple catch, wasn't it? Sort of chest height. Lilly finishes then his T20 campaign. I'd imagine he will be the highest run scorer of the competition for the Foxes. Yeah.
Started on 281 this innings.
Over 300.
Ackerman was 295. So at the moment,
oh, it could
no,
be.
it's
It
Ackerman.
could be Ackerman. It will be Ackerman.
Yeah.
At 85, pushing him above it. You wouldn't say it's been the best season for Ackerman, has it at all?
No, it hasn't.
And yet he's still the top scorer. I suppose that tells you quite a lot, really, doesn't it, Richard, unfortunately, from a Leicestershire perspective.
That 85 last time out did him no harm at all.
And the 50, of course, that he got in the reverse fixture up at Headingley, which the partnership with him and Rishi Patel won them that game that day, as well as some good bowling from Ben Mike and Naveen Ul-Haq. Shadab Khan will continue for his third over from the pavilion end. He tosses this one up. That's a quick delivery. Didn't spin at all and came on very quickly to Mulder, the new batter. And there's one ball left in this over. 1 for 36 off the 2.5 overs that Shadab Khan has bowled so far. 49 on his back. As it comes in now, bowls, and off a good length, it's hit straight to cover. No run. Nice bit of spin from Khan, Rian Ahmed, Callum Parkinson, maybe Colin Ackerman at the non-striker's end will have watched that with some interest, because he was getting the ball to spin a bit, even though he has gone round the park a bit. 36 for the conceded for the 3 overs from Khan, but a successful over there as he got the wicket of Aaron Lilly. Ackerman knocked 23 off 16. Mulder has faced 2 deliveries and is yet to score. Leicestershire 106 for 3. The run rate 9.6 at the moment after 11 overs. The weather has improved, hasn't it? There is some blue sky just poking through.
Yeah, it's a lot warmer as a consequence as well. Floodlights had to be switched on, which at the start of the game, because it was pretty dark, I suspect they're pretty redundant now. As in comes Matt Revis and bowls. Ackerman is looking to drive. Again, it shapes back into him and he can't time it at all. Thick inside part of the bat sees the ball run up towards long on. And the single is taken. Ackerman on to 24. Vian Mulder yet to get off the mark. Takes his guard from umpire Pollard. South African international all-rounder. Like Welch, a relatively recent introduction to the T20 side. Wasn't in at the start. Revis bowls to him down the leg side. Will be signalled wide. Mulder didn't get anything on it. Kohler Cadmore sprawled rather to his left to make the stop, take the catch. Yellow gloves for Kohler Cadmore. Rather clashes with his blue of various hues uniform. Yorkshire have had some garish stuff over the years, and I speak as a Yorkshireman. In goes Revis, and Mulder plays carefully, sensibly, through the vacant mid-on area down towards long gone, takes a single. This year's outfit, relatively restrained. Navy trousers, sort of light blue stroke dark blue top. Seen worse. Remember the Yorkshire tea one? Oh, it was awful. In goes Revis and bowls very wide outside off stump. Ackerman went dancing down, had to reach for it, couldn't reach it, and this time umpire Pollard thinks, although you did step slightly to the leg side, it was still wide enough to be signalled wide.
It's borderline, wasn't it? Just wide of that blue line, which signals whether it should be given as a wide or not.
Short third Lithe has gone even finer. He's almost at sort of second slip. In goes Revis outside off stump, and that one he did get right, Revis, because Ackerman again danced down the wicket, again dancing slightly to the leg side, which meant he had to reach for it and couldn't get anything on it. Good bowling from Revis in this over. 1 for 19 from 2.3 for the 20-year-old from Steeton. Is in and bowls again very wide and very full. Ackerman reaches for it, does get something on it this time. Shadab Khan runs up from third man, picks up at sort of deep-ish backward point, but he had a lot of ground to make up to the ball, and Ackerman, blowing slightly at the end of that second run, takes his time to walk back to the crease, but there were always two there.
We saw Vian Mulder, didn't we, do this from this end on Friday night, bowling very wide and full outside off stump. And if you bowl to that field, if you set the field for that, it can keep the runs tight.
Revis is in. He's been driven by Ackerman, and he's got that one wide of mid-off. It's going to run and out to the wide long off boundary 4-4. That one was just a bit too straight. It was very drivable, but he needed it to be a little bit wider than that. And Ackerman, as a consequence, although slightly in-out, the way he does drive the ball, managed to get it wide of the man at mid-off, and no chance to chase it down. Ackerman on to 30 from 20 balls, 116 for 3.
That was a lovely shot. There's some strokes that even in a T20 where Ackerman looks glorious, doesn't he? Lovely technique, lovely foot movement, lovely use of the wrists, very powerful.
He can look a very sort of classically correct batsman.
It's lovely to see bits of that in T20. It can look a bit agricultural sometimes and a bit sort of industrial, but he makes it look beautiful.
Long off has gone back as a consequence, and Ackerman plays a horribly agricultural shot. It was very full outside off stump, and he tried to drag it round towards mid-wicket and did do so, but it didn't look very pretty at all, because he was able to do so because it was a very low full toss in the end. So mixed over from the point of view of both Ackerman and Revis, I suppose. 1 for 26 for Revis from his 3, 117 for 3, so 9 from it, and well, they are looking at that sort of 210 score, which will be in the game if nothing else.
I think there was a little bit of the commentator's curse from me there, as Ackerman played an incredibly industrial and horrible shot after saying he was a lovely batsman. Hoik that round. It was a horrible shot, trying to flick it from well outside off stump into the leg side.
I think the fact he is quite sort of classically correct does emphasise, when he doesn't play a clean shot, it does look worse almost.
So Don Bess will start his first over, and his first delivery is played into the leg side by Ackerman just for the single. Ackerman wanted 2, he was never going to get it in a million years. And so Mulder will be on strike. Best, number 47 on his back, the England spinner. So I think the last time Dom Bess played a test match for England, probably last summer, I would think. I'll check that in a second. As he comes in now. Bowles drags this one into the pitch. I think he saw Mulder coming, and Mulder plays the ball into the ground, out into the offside, and the score moves on to 119 for 3. Last test match actually March last year for Dom Bess in Ahmedabad against India. Comes in now. Energetic run up and swept by Ackerman, very nicely timed, but there's a fielder out at long leg who collects the ball and throws it in. A single added, Ackerman under 33, 120 for 3 the score. That run rate consistently staying at around the sort of 9.5 region. Bess comes in now, and it's a reverse sweep from Mulder. It's up in the air, but it's safe. There's a fielder at what is a short third man. It was wide of him. He's quite fine. It went square of him. So a 2 is added. Not pretty from Mulder, but at least he gets some runs for it. He moves on to 4. 1-2-2 for 3.
Yeah, it's Milan, is it, over there at short third now?
They're moving.
May have taken the catch, actually.
Moving a fielder from the leg side to the off, and moving 2 men behind square on the offside to try and stop the reverse sweep, or maybe the late cut as Bess bowls. Down the pitch comes Mulder and smacks down the ground. That'll be 4 runs. So it's going to beat the fielder, who wasn't far away from it down at long off, but it raced away. And I don't know whether that stung the fingertips of Dom Bess. He stuck out his left hand to try and grab it, as it was a flat shot, aggressive shot from Mulder.
I think he withdrew his hand at the last moment. He realised that was going to hurt.
Well, take his fingers off probably. He comes in now. What's his comeback going to be? Bess down into the pitch he bowls, and he's glanced away into the leg side. They should come back for 2 here, and they do. Yes, there was a comfortable 2 there, particularly when you've got 2 fit players like Ackerman and Mulder, who've got international quality, international level fitness too, and they make it through 4-2. So a decent over, 11 from it in the end from Leicestershire, as they get that run rate up towards 10 and over now. 1-2-8 for 3, and as you say, Richard, they should be aiming for around 200 at the moment, as we've had 13 overs, and that will be a competitive total. They have a very dangerous and threatening batting lineup. Yorkshire: Lythe, Allen, Milan, Kohler, Cadmore, Willie, Brooke, Thompson, Khan. So it's going to be one hell of a challenge, but 200 will be a competitive total here.
Willie bringing himself back on. Yeah, Leicestershire's home scores have been awful, other than the last game against Northamptonshire. 130, 89, 135, 123, 118 for 2. That was a winning chase, obviously. But then 214 for 6. Last time out. Willie is in to Ackerman. A slow wide full toss, which Ackerman cracks out to Milan at extra cover. Might have been quite close to being above waist high. It wasn't, clearly, as umpire Pollard hasn't signalled as such. So Ackerman picks up 1, 34 to him, 129 for 3. But they will look, if they can win this game, it isn't a completely dead rubber. In goes Willie and bowls, worked by Mulder off the stumps out towards backward square. And the fielder comes in from the boundary. Again, it's just a single. In terms of the confidence that they will take from having won 5 in a row, they can hopefully, although there will be a gap with a couple of championship games now, Sussex and Glamorgan, they will hopefully take that confidence into the Royal London Cup, try and target that, even without Ackerman, Parkinson and Ahmed. Willie is into Ackerman. Again, a full toss. Again, it's carved out without being timed into the offside. Man coming in from the boundary is not Thompson out there, is it? Is it Carr? It's Finn Allen. I beg his pardon. Struggling with recognising him at the moment.
I also think on that point, if they have won enough games and essentially did qualify, even though they won't have done, but you take my point, that will give them confidence. But I also think, as I said before at the start of the programme, Leicestershire are trying to prove. There is a lot of talk about the smaller counties, the role and the contribution that they make to English cricket. And when you've got a team that's winning 5 in a row, that shows they have a place.
Willie is in. Mulder is driving straight to mid-off, took his bottom hand off the bat, realised he'd completely mistimed it. It was simplest of catches for the man on the edge of the circle. Vian Mulder goes. Slightly tame dismissal, caught mid-off. He goes for 11, and Leicestershire 131 now for 4.
Yeah, he didn't get that at all, Mulder. Interesting. I don't know whether this ball's just stopping a little bit in the pitch. I'm intrigued by the fact that Hill and Mulder have got out in very, very similar ways. That might just be a coincidence, but they've both played that sort of attacking shot down the ground where they've been looking to sort of uppishly play it, time it almost, not overly aggressively hit it, but they've ended up just chipping it basically to mid-off. But Mulder didn't quite get going, but he... Again, we talked about bringing Welch in, didn't we, Richard, and what's that's added to Leicestershire. I think bringing Mulder in has added a huge amount to the Foxes, and I think if they had their time again, they probably would have just brought Mulder into the T20 team from the very offset, wouldn't they, and had him as their overseas player, but not to be.
For Yorkshire supporters are unaware, they went with the New Zealand opener Hamish Rutherford, and it's fair to say
didn't work out.
A very nice man, but it didn't happen for Hamish Rutherford at all with the bat. Only a couple of double-figure scores and not much more than that, essentially. So Ben Mike has come in. A lot of uncertainty about Mike's future next season as Willie comes in, bowls to him. There's an appeal for leg before. Now there's an appeal for a catch, and he has been given out one way or the other, I suspect, for the catch, which was lobbed up into the air to Willie. The appeal from Cola Cadmore, I'm certain, was for leg before wicket, but it may have just come off the inside edge onto the foot and looped up into the leg side, not very far though, and Willie took the simplest of catches. Ben Mike looks at the bottom of his bat as he walks off. I think that's what must have happened. Yeah,
I think so. Just looking at the replay, it looks like it came off his bat. A golden duck for Ben Mike, which is a shame. He's had a very, very good T20 blast for Leicestershire, hasn't he? Very good campaign. He's a little bit inconsistent from time to time. Put that down to youth, I suppose. But he's had some great bowling performances. He's had a lot of value with the bat too in the middle order. It's a shame that it ended in that way. Leicestershire will hope to keep hold of him because he's a really good talent for them.
David Willey is on a hat-trick in what
let's not forget
isn't going to be his last T20 game, assuming
yes.
that if Yorkshire, well, they will go through. It just depends where they go through, essentially. Which position that is.
He, of course, has taken a hat-trick to win the T20 blast, hasn't he?
Has indeed. In he comes from the Bennett end to bowl to Rishi Patel, who's driving very pleasantly, getting on top of the bounce, steering it away through the backward point area, and picking up one end of a very successful over for the Vikings skipper. 131 for 5, just the 3 runs from it and 2 wickets.
BBC Radio Leicester, Richard Ray, Adam Whitty with you, bringing you live coverage of Leicestershire against Yorkshire in the T20 Blast. Hello to all of you on the stream as well, watching on YouTube. Thank you for your company today. A few grey clouds overhead, slate grey, but they're quite high. They don't look overly threatening. We've got a nice... We did have a delayed start to the match. There's going to be a bit of a challenge for them to get all the overs in. They've got 20 minutes, Yorkshire under 20 minutes, because we had a rather bizarre start to the game. As Best comes in, he bowls, and he bowls a spin delivery, which Patel sweeps. Ball had a little bit more bounce on it, so someone had to wristily flick it, control it a little bit more than he expected. Best not the tallest spinner, but he gets a single out to square leg. 133 for 5. The run rate down to 9.4 now. As Best comes in, drags it into the ground. It's well bowled by Best, and there's a bit of drama as Patel had to dive back into the crease as it was hit straight back to Best, who turned round and attempted to run him out, but Patel was back in his crease as Best energetic run-up, comes in, Bowles tracks this down, there's an appeal for a catch, and the wide is given. So Ackerman obviously didn't hit that at all, even though there was a big appeal. That might have been hopeful in the aim of avoiding a wide there, Richard. I'm not sure.
I suspect so.
Bess up to the wicket, Bowles down the leg side again, turn around the corner nicely by Ackerman. He's timed that well. As a chase on for the fielder running round at long leg, he does well to get to about a square leg position and throw the ball in. A single, 2 is taken by Ackerman. He moves on to 37 off 27, 1, 3, 6 or 5. Just got to be careful, Leicestershire, that the runs don't slow. 3 off that last over. Yeah. They need to find the boundary again quite regularly as Ackerman faces, and this is turned around the corner. That won't go for a boundary. It'll just be a single, I think, or will it be 2? They are scampering through for the second. They make it. Ackerman making the call early on, running to the danger end and got there comfortably. He's a very quick player. I think was it Ben Mike who was on the cricket show with us, Richard, saying that Ackerman wins the fitness test, he wins the bleep test, he's probably the fittest player in the team. I think it was Callum Parkinson.
It's funny because he kind of looks as though he gallops a bit, but he is actually pretty quick.
Open stance from Ackerman with fluorescent pads as Bess bowls to him. That's a nice ball from Bess. Just deceived him in the flight. It was flat and quick, and Ackerman adapted well in just cutting it late behind square on the offside. Gets a single to short third man. Adam Lyth fielding there. So Lyth stands with his hands behind his back, casually. Sadab Khan comes from the leg side, from a sort of mid-wicket position inside the ring, to extra cover. As Bess comes in, down the pitch comes Patel and wristily flicks it down the ground for a single. As a clap from the fielder who collects it down there, David Willey, as he stops any aggressive shot from Patel. It was a decent over from Bess, I thought. The end of it, 9 runs conceded, so not too bad from a Leicestershire perspective, but I thought there was a good battle between bat and ball there. Bess, 2 overs, none for 19. Leicestershire 140 for 5. Ackerman on 40 off 29. Patel 3 off 3.
5 overs to go. They will want 60 at least from them. With Ackerman there, they have a chance of getting that. Patel hasn't had many real opportunities in this competition in recent games. He's just been in for a few balls normally, so he's got rather more than he would normally expect to receive. He goes across to the leg side and tries to lift that delivery from Revis down towards long leg. It's a slower delivery from Revis, and Patel had to wait for it. Didn't really time it at all. Manages to pick up a couple, though, running back from square leg. The fielder gets there. It's George Hill and gets his throw. Actually hits Patel as he runs to complete his second. Revis is in outside off stump, steps across, carves it out into the offside. It's going to be caught out there on the cover boundary, or a few steps in from the cover boundary, and Julie is caught. Finn Allen, the catcher out there, just rolls the ball back in. Hit it, got plenty of it, Rishi Patel, but he did find Allen almost, he barely had to move out there. Did skew off the face of the bat rather. And again, in danger, this Foxes innings of just petering out. 142 for 6.
Yeah, I think he was the victim of hitting out towards the big boundary. Patel moved right across his stumps to try and make room for himself to whack it over on the leg side. But it was well bowled by Revis, who followed him, bowled it outside his, bowled it still to the offside of him. And Patel then trying to heave it on the offside. It's a big long boundary out there. It would have been 6 all day long on the leg side, but as it was, it had a lot further to travel, and so it was taken quite comfortably. Very casual catch out there, wasn't it, by Allen? Very relaxed, but effective.
Yeah, comfortable for him. Second wicket for Revis, who is in, bowling to Louis Kimber. Big young man waits for the slightly short of a length delivery and turns it calmly out through mid-on down towards long on. Takes 1. 143 for 6. Lincoln origin, Louis Kimber hits a big ball As Revis is in to Ackerman, outside off stump, very wide, chopped away by Ackerman down towards Allen, or Allen has a bit of work to do running away to his left, picks up one-handed, gets his throw away, but Ackerman back for a second, made his ground comfortably.
There is a 2, isn't there, out to that long boundary, because the amount of time that it takes the ball to be thrown in, you can probably get 2/3 of the pitch down the 2/3 of the way down the pitch while the ball is in mid-flight, can't you? That's so far out there.
Revis, 2 balls left in his 4th over, steps across his stumps. Ackerman tries to hit the delivery from well outside off stump over the mid-wicket boundary, doesn't get anything on it.
There's just a fear the momentum is going from this innings, isn't there, Richard? From a Leicestershire perspective.
Yeah, you can sense that Ackerman probably feels it as well. He's trying different things. Not successfully at the moment. Again, very wide from Revis, and he knows that is certain to be signalled wide, and was already marching back to his mark in anticipation.
I think he expected Ackerman to go across his stumps even further, try and heave it on the leg side, but Ackerman called his bluff.
12 wickets in the group stages of the competition for Matt Revis so far. Again, very wide. That should be signalled wide as well, but isn't, because Ackerman had stepped across his stumps. It went between the blue line and the white line, so to speak, and it was probably nearer the white line, if anything, but Ackerman, as I say, had stepped across his stumps. End of another good over. A little bit of a squeeze on here from the Vikings, and they're doing a good job. 146 for 6 means just obviously 6 runs from the over, but 3 from the 14th from Willie, 9, 15th from Bess, 6 now from Revis, and that 200 is beginning to look rather a long way off. 4 overs to get 54 runs.
Yeah, it looked a dead cert at one stage.
Did.
Well, the way that they had started. So Bess will continue, 2 for 32. Oh no, sorry, that's Revis's figures. There's a Bess bowls, and it's flicked away into the leg side. Bess none for 19 off 2. That's a single out to deep mid-wicket. Enjoyed hearing Rick Astley there. Love Rick Astley.
Okay.
So does Owen, don't you? On the back of the commentary box. Bess comes in now. Ackerman makes room for himself. Choreographs what he's going to do. Flicks it away for the single. And in fact, scampers back for the second. Ackerman is really pushing the envelope when it comes to the running. Testing out his partners and testing out the Yorkshire field, which is good to see. He's probably got an extra 6 or 7 runs from getting 2s when maybe less fit or less agile, less quick batsmen might not have got them. Bess, 47 on his back, moves away from us now. He's up to the wicket, he bowls. Oh, and this is hit high up in the air. It's going to be safe over the top of the fielder, and it's going to plug in the ground, but is it going to run away for 4? It is. That's a much needed boundary for Leicestershire, behind square on the leg side. I'm not sure it was perfectly timed by Ackerman, or perfectly placed, but he got enough on it, and he got it high enough to get over the infield, and just had enough on it to bounce over the rope. I feared it would plug in the surface, and it did to a certain extent, but again, not enough, and went for 4 runs. Ackerman on to 48 off 34. Still a pretty speedy innings. Good strike rate from Ackerman. As Bess comes in, that's down the leg side, it's hit in the air and 4. There's a diving attempted catch from the fielder at short fine leg, but it was hit just too fine for him and too quickly, and Ackerman gets consecutive 50s as it races away to the boundary rope. And after that fabulous 85 against Northamptonshire, that was a match-winning score really for the Foxes, it is again Ackerman, who Leicestershire rely on so much for their runs, who has made the decisive contribution. If Leicestershire are going to get up to 200 or in and around 185, 190, and he's going to be central to it. Great play by Ackerman.
35 balls for him.
Bess into the pitch this one. It was a short delivery. I think he thought that Ackerman was going to come down the pitch, and they're going to run away for the second. It's misfielded, and that's exactly what you want to do when you're running through and you're trying to put pressure on the fielders. That's what can happen when you force them into mistakes like that, and you put the pressure on them by deciding to run a second. And I'm not sure who it is, the man down there and long off, who was just misfielded right in front of his head coach. As Bess bowls, and it's cut by Ackerman. out for a single, 55 to him. That is, oh no, it's the end of the over, yep. So the score 159 for 6, so 13 off it. That's the over that Leicestershire needed, isn't it, Richard? They just needed some more boundaries, they needed some added impetus, just some pace brought back into the innings. And Ackerman has done just that with those 2 boundaries behind square on the leg side. 160 for 6 then, the run rate 9.4 and over. Ackerman 55 off 37, Kimber 2 off 2.
Jordan Thompson coming back on at the Bennett end. None for 33 for Dom Best from his 3 overs. Just 8 wickets in the competition so far for him. But he's had a good economy rate, 7.53 is pretty decent in the 12 games, or 11 innings in which he's bowled. Thompson is in full toss and gets a little bit low to Ackerman, and he manages to cart it away towards deep mid-wicket, so it'll be just the 1. 55, 56 now to the South Africa-born Dutch international. I'm surprised he wasn't involved in any way in the recent Netherlands internationals.
Yeah, well, it was a source of controversy, wasn't it?
It was. He maybe would have liked to have done. Again, a full toss from Thompson, and that is going to be caught at deep mid-wicket. Probably it is caught at deep mid-wicket, but Kimber picks up 2. The no ball is duly signalled, had been signalled from the start, in fact, by umpire Pollard, and Kimber will have a free hit.
Yeah, that was a good decision. You could see the crowd slightly delayed reaction to that as they wondered why the catch was taken and the ball was immediately thrown back in looking for a run out.
Thompson is in again to Kimber, who drives through the offside for 4. Over pitched outside off stump, and although Kimber was staying on the back foot, as I say, he's a very big strong young man, and carved it away through sort of wide extra cover, between extra cover and sort of mid-off area, and no chance at all for long off to get around to make the stop. Kimber on 2-8, 169 for 6, and that previous over of Best going for 13, now this going for a few, has reignited the Foxes' innings rather.
I felt like that free hit was important. It's just 1 ball, but of course it's an opportunity for free runs essentially. And you thought that if they took advantage of it, which they did, that was a great shot from Kimber, that would give their chances of getting up towards 200 a big boost.
Thompson is in, bowls very wide. That's a much better delivery, sort of Yorker length delivery, a foot outside off stump. Kimber comes down on it with a slightly cross bat, manages to squeeze it out towards cover. Shadab Khan moves to his left to field. 1 is taken. 170 for 6.
I think that was the ball he was trying to bowl on the free hit, wasn't it? He just that time he got the length perfect, whereas the ball before it was too short.
Thompson is in, very wide, slower ball, and will be signalled wide. Is roundly ignored by Colin Ackerman. It is Yorkshire's sort of weakness in the competition, the bowling in particular, and you kind of rather feel for them if, as it looks likely to be possibly be the case, they end up at the Oval against Surrey. That batting lineup on a flat oval pitch on Wednesday evening could be interesting. In goes Thompson, bowls again, slightly wide, slower ball, but he held it back really nicely, and it was wiped by Ackerman across the line out towards long on. 1 is taken. 172 for 6. Ackerman on to 57. Still 2 balls to go in the over because of the free hit, of course, and the no ball. That occasioned. Thompson is in. Bowls hit high up into the air and over mid-wicket by Kimber, who doesn't move, having hit it into the Melton Building Society family stand. A big hit over there. It was a long, long way over the boundary. Thompson is going the distance in this over.
Great to hear the Indian drums, aren't they? I think that's they've kept that from the tour match, which is great to see. I think you suggested it, didn't you, Richard? And it's a very good idea.
Thompson in, bowls, driven high and wide and handsome by Louis Kimber again. What a lovely hit that was, actually, through the offside over deep extra cover and 4-6 by Kimber, but down on one knee, and there was nothing agricultural about that. I mean, as I say, strong player, but beautiful piece of timing and a lovely cricket shot from Kimber. Consecutive boundaries for him, 184 for 6, so 15, 25 off the over. Is that right? What's my maths like?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
25.
25. That's a brilliant over from Leicestershire's perspective, and Kimber has now given Leicestershire a very good chance of getting a very good total. 2 overs left. They will want 16, they want 200. Kimber 21 off 7, Ackerman 57 not out. And you're right, that was beautiful. He is such a powerful man that if he times it, then it's going to go a long way. And that was a sort of, it was almost like a classic slog, wasn't it? All the foot movement was in the right place, lovely arch of the blade. Just hit more rappishly than the classic cover drive, but it was a lovely shot. Shadab Khan to bowl his final over from the pavilion end. Oh, and that was swept by Ackerman. It came off maybe the bat, maybe the pads, came off something. Misses the stumps by a whisker. Hits Tom Kohler-Cadmore's glove and dribbles into the ground. The result is no run.
Should he have stumped him there?
Yeah, possibly.
A long way out of his ground, wasn't he?
Khan up to the wicket now. He bowls, tosses this one up outside off stump. It's cut, and there's going to be a chase on for the fielder, who's going to lose. The ball's going to win, and it's going to race away for just forward a square on the offside for 4 runs in front of the manual scoreboard, and Ackerman gets an all-important boundary. Ackerman tried to make room for himself on the leg side. Khan saw him do that and tossed it out wide on the offside, but Ackerman with his long levers was able to get there and cut it for 4. Khan up to the wicket, bowls, and that's wiped by Ackerman on the bounce to deep mid-wicket. They just get the single. 189 for 6 is the score. Khan's been very expensive. 1 for 41 off his 3.3 overs.
Kimber coming in at 8 is good as well, isn't it, for Leicestershire? Gives them real depth.
Khan up to the wicket, bowls, and back goes Kimber, whips it away on the leg side, and that deep mid wicket is in play again. Kimber wanted a second, but that's very well fielded by George Hill, running in from deep mid wicket. He's had a very good game so far as the young man, and he launches that in with his right hand, stops the second. 190 for 6. With 8 balls left in the innings as Khan comes up to the wicket now. He bowls, cut by Ackerman. This time the fielder out at deep cover has moved a little bit squarer, and Ackerman hit it a little bit further forward of square, so it didn't go for 4 this time. It was almost identical shot though to the one in the earlier in the over. As Khan bowls outside off stump. Is that a wide? Yes. Oh, and Khan not happy with that at all. He sort of turned on his heels very quickly because he was happy with that. And Khan gives the umpire a little bit of a look there as he walked back past.
And he's telling them that they have gone over time, and therefore they have to have 1 extra man in the circle for this delivery and the final over.
And that is as a result of that first over. The first couple of overs took ages, didn't they? As Khan tosses this one up, it's driven over. The man had to come in from cover and came from deep cover into a more orthodox cover inside the ring, and so Louis Kimber makes room for himself and drives it beautifully where that fielder was, and they're punished for that. That's a brilliant shot, quick thinking from Kimber, and the 200 on for Leicestershire. They're 192 for 6 at the end of the 19th over. Ackerman on 63, and Kimber's played a blinding innings, hasn't he? 26 off 9. He has launched this innings from something that was looking like it was going to peter out, but he's grabbed the momentum, hasn't he? He's grabbed the innings by the scruff of the neck, Kimber, and has really added something to this innings.
Yeah. 17th over went for 13, 18th for 25, that one for 12. So who gets the dubious honour of bowling the last over? The captain is taking responsibility. Jordan Thompson having gone for 44 from his 3 overs, so David Willey is bringing himself back on at the Bennett end. Comes in and bowls to Ackerman down the leg side, will be signalled wide. Ackerman tried to swing it away. Good take by Kohler-Cadmore because it went through skidded through very low down the leg side. Kohler-Cadmore, big man, dived away to his left, got the bat, got his gauntlets to it, saved 4 byes, that's for sure. to go with the wide. 2 for 16 for Willie from his 3 overs. Now 2 for 18, I would imagine. In he goes and bowls wide outside off stump edge, just short of Adam Lyth at short third man on the edge of the circle. Ackerman reached for it, got a top edge. It looped rather, bounced a foot short of Lyth, right on the edge of the circle. He's not there for the catch, really, so understandably was back on his heels a little bit. The Whitby man. Ackerman on to 64. Probably the right man on strike now. Louis Kimber, who has hit the ball very cleanly since coming in. 26 to him as Willie is in. Bowls to him outside off stump, and he has managed to slice it over the top of Adam Lyth down to the third man boundary for 4. Brings up the Leicestershire 200 for the second consecutive game. Again, they've only passed 200 both on those occasions, otherwise they hadn't managed to pass 200, but you say adds to the frustration in a way that they seem to be finding a way now.
There's a load of bittersweetness about this whole campaign, isn't there, Richard, for all sorts of reasons.
Can they beat the 214 as Willie goes in, bowls to Kimber, who chips it, reaching for it out to Milan on the edge of the circle at extra cover, and Kimber has to go. He goes for 30 off just 10 balls. Couldn't ask for much more from your number 8 than that, but Willie has picked up his 3rd wicket.
Yeah, just didn't quite time that properly. I thought it was well bowled by Willie, who's bowling it wide outside off stump so that Kimber can't force it into the leg side where there's a shorter boundary, and he had to go seeking for that, really had to lean into it, and didn't time it at all. We've seen a few wickets like that, haven't we, Richard, today? It's the 3rd one where somebody's tried to sort of drive it straight in the V down towards the down the ground, and they haven't quite timed it, so I don't know if it's something slightly sticking in the pitch. I'm not sure.
17-year-old Rehan Ahmed comes to the crease, Leicestershire's leg-spinning all-rounder, who has impressed everybody so far this season, including a lot of pundits. In goes Willie, bowls to him. That wasn't a particularly impressive shot. He had a huge mow at it, missed it. It went through to Kola Cadmore behind the stumps. Kola Cadmore couldn't take it cleanly. Ackerman wisely called Ahmed through for the single. Kola Cadmore hurled the ball at the stumps, tried to cover both bases by, if he missed the ones nearest to him, maybe they'd go and hit the ones at the far end, but he missed them both. So Ackerman is on strike. Willie, 2 balls left, is in. Bowls Ackerman, a full toss, cut out to the wide third man boundary for 4. Got that one wrong, David Willie, and I wouldn't say the crowd coming to life, but they're starting to thoroughly enjoy themselves. They're, despite themselves almost, they're beginning to lose themselves in what's going on out there. And from Leicestershire's point of view, it's reasonably impressive, led by the skipper, who's following his 84 yesterday with 68 not out. Can he get in to the 70s off the final ball? They're going to strengthen the offside, it would appear.
Well, I was just going to say, they don't really, if he's going to bowl wide outside off stump, they didn't have the feel for it. 2 fewer fielders over there.
Willie is in, does bowl wide outside off stump, cut down into the ground. It bounces over the 3 men behind square on the edge of the circle on the offside and runs down to the third man boundary for 4. So a very good finish to the innings. 211 for 7 is the Leicestershire score. So that over went for 15. So the last 4 overs as a whole, hugely productive as far as the Foxes were concerned. 65 from them.
Brilliant stuff. They really added some impetus to that. Colin Ackerman raises his bat as he heads off the field, follows up his 85 with 72 not out. That was fabulous stuff from him. He was the epicentre of that innings, but huge credit has to go to Louis Kimber, who just when the innings looked like it was petering out, really came in, smacked the ball to all quarters and all corners, played a really fabulous innings that has given them a very competitive total once again. This is obviously a very good pitch, Richard, but Leicestershire have certainly turned up today. That 2-point docking earlier before the start of play has not affected them too much at all. Good total from Leicestershire. Yorkshire required 212 to win this game. Owen Palmer-Atkin is down pitch side.
Thank you very much, Adam. Yet another fantastic batting display from Leicestershire has got them over 200 for the second time in a matter of just 3 days, and that will always be pleasing for the Leicestershire head coach Paul Nixon. Of course, 211 for 7. They end on their 20 overs, of course, and requiring a big effort now from Yorkshire to get themselves back in this game and win this game. Although, as we've already mentioned in the programme, they do have some big hitters themselves. Richard, when you look back at that innings for Leicestershire and they're racking up another 200+ score, that must be really, really pleasing for you, for Paul Nixon, for this whole Leicestershire setup, that they are beginning to bat in that kind of fluency.
Yeah, a good power play again, 56 for 2. They only lost the 2 wickets in it, and they scored at 10 and over, so that was a decent start. Again, 61 they made against Northamptonshire. Kept it going. There was a little bit of a squeeze on between sort of overs 12 down to about sort of 16, which was good bowling on the part of the likes of Matt Revis and Dom Bess. Willie, particularly when he picked up those 2 wickets off consecutive deliveries. Mulder and Mike only conceded 3 runs in his 14th over. It would have been easy for Leicestershire just to have sort of ended up on 180 or something like that, which almost certainly wouldn't have been enough against a very strong Yorkshire batting lineup. Make no mistake, they won't be at all intimidated by a target of 212. Leicestershire are going to have to bowl and field very well, but again, it kind of adds to the frustration that the batting is really coming to the party now as well, and their bowling and fielding, which has been good throughout most of the sort of last 2/3 of the competition, really. Just first few games were sort of horribly wrong. They didn't get it right at all in that time, but they've found the right lineup now. Everybody looks pretty confident as well, so let's finish with a win and try and make a point that way.
We saw a very good batting display from Leicestershire as a whole, but Adam, you were talking in commentary about the hope, I suppose, that the runs wouldn't be stemmed and Leicestershire's flow wouldn't be brought to a bit of a halt, and that they needed to find a little bit of imagination, really, to get back into to get themselves back into this game and find that momentum. They seemingly found it through Louis Kimber, who came on and played very well.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. It was, as Richard said, when that David Willey over went for 3 runs, you thought, oh dear, this is, and at that stage, 131 for 5 it was at the 14th over. You thought that the innings was going to peter out, but I thought he played really, really nicely. He's a big man, Kimber, 6'3", big, broad shoulders, and if he times the ball, it's going to go far. And I thought he manipulated the field very well. He found the gaps nicely. He used the short boundary very well too, and he just grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck. Ackerman as well, I thought, had just lost a bit of momentum, but he refound it after he started hitting out, and it was a really impressive effort from Louis Kimber in that. What did he get in the end? 30 from 11 balls, which has turned the course of the game, really. As Richard said, it would have been 185, 190. That probably wouldn't have been enough. 212 to win for Yorkshire is a very competitive total. They have Ackerman, who was a really good innings today, the sort of linchpin which everything was built around. But it's Kimber's 30 that I think we may look back on if Leicestershire win this game as the all-important moment.
And Richard, you mentioned it a few moments ago, the kind of frustration that the bowling has got to where it needs to be. The batting, they're starting to hit the ball very, very well, and 200+ scores. They're 4 wins on the bounce. And you mentioned the word frustration. It does get even more frustrating when you consider that it's not actually the cricket that's going to have stopped Leicestershire possibly from qualifying for the quarterfinals of this competition.
Yeah, but it is what it is now. You know, it's not going to change. All that they can really do is hang on to the confidence that they've found, hang on to the momentum that they've found, and try and take that into the second half of the season. You know, obviously they still haven't won a game in the county championship. We go down and play actually Sussex have now just won a game, so we are the only side not to have won a game in the county championship. Let's go down to Hove next week now and play really well down there. And they'll also target, I'm sure they will target the Royal London Cup. Certainly they'll be without 3 of their key players, so will a few others as well, and they might be able to bring in 1 or 2 just to boost the squad in that respect. So all that they can really do now is focus on the future. Let's go ahead and win this game if they possibly can, and as Adam has said, make a point in that respect. 5 wins is a pretty decent effort against some very, very good sides. So, and you know, it will bring, although they're not going to go through, it'll bring a certain amount of respect to the Uptonsteel County Ground.
Finally then, boys, before we head over and look at some of the other scores in the T20 Blast today, is 211 enough for Leicestershire in this game?
Should be, and it should have been yesterday. Of course, it nearly wasn't, but Leicestershire lost their heads a little bit in the final couple of overs. There should be enough to win it, and they have, as we've seen all season, Owen, haven't we? We've seen them squeeze really well in their bowling. The bowlers didn't really turn up on Friday night against Northamptonshire, but they had enough runs on the board. So if the likes of Ahmed, the likes of Parkinson can keep it tight, we saw a bit of spin from Shadab Khan, which will have interested the spinners today. So if they can keep it tight, if they don't leak big runs, if their bowlers aren't taken off for bowling beamers, then they should win this game. 211 is enough to defend, but Yorkshire have a fantastic batting lineup. Richard?
I'm not sure actually on this one. I did rather fancy it against Northants. I thought they'd take a couple more wickets than they actually did when they did. Yorkshire, they're a very good batting side, and they have shown that they can chase down these sort of totals, and they too will want to make a point. It's 50-50 this one.
Well, we'll have to wait and see as to whether they find themselves in a winning position in around about an hour's time. Richard, Adam, thank you very much. We'll be joining our matchday commentary team for second half commentary, or the second innings commentary, very shortly indeed, here on BBC Radio Leicester, on DAB and on the BBC Sounds app, not to mention the BBC Sport website and app, as we bring you live T20 action on BBC Radio Leicester. Leicestershire Foxes versus Yorkshire Vikings here at Grace Road. I'm Owen Palmer-Atkin, taking you through the between innings at this moment in time. Elsewhere in the T20 Blast, Derbyshire are facing Durham. Derbyshire needing 164 runs to win from 17 overs, currently 30 for 1. Durham setting 193 for 5 in their first innings. Elsewhere, Worcestershire facing Notts, of course. Worcestershire going on 159 for 8. Notts need 121 runs to win from 16.4 overs, and Gloucestershire facing Middlesex at this moment in time. Gloucestershire needing 134 runs to win from their remaining 16 overs after Middlesex posted a score of 163 for 4. Meanwhile, Lancashire versus Birmingham, Kent versus Glamorgan, Somerset versus Surrey, and Sussex versus Hampshire all get underway at 6:30 this evening. One other big cricket score to bring you is day 3 of 5 of the Test match between England versus India. England, of course, all bowled out for 284. India, that was in the reply to India's first innings score of 416. India currently 37 for 1, so it's leading them by 169 runs with 9 wickets remaining in that one. So a big old effort for England, and they need to be getting some wickets very, very early on indeed in that one. Meanwhile, in F1, the British Grand Prix has been suspended just seconds into the race following a huge crash involving Alfa Romeo's Guan Yu Zhou, Williams' Alex Albon, and British driver George Russell as well. Guan Yu's car flipped over, skidded off the track and vaulted the barrier after colliding with Russell's Mercedes. Both Guan Yu and Albon are believed to be okay after receiving medical attention. I've just in the last few moments seen a bit of footage from that, and it was absolutely incredible scenes down there in the British Grand Prix. The race has restarted. You can follow all the action on the BBC Sport website and app. Meanwhile, several protesters have been removed after attempting to run onto the track at the time of the crash. Leicestershire's fielders have made their way back out, so let's hand over to your matchday commentary team for second innings action here in the T20 Blast. Leicestershire versus Yorkshire with Adam Whitty and Richard Ray.
Richard Ray currently going la 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 la. He doesn't want to know the F1 results.
Oh, sorry, Richard.
He's taking his headphones off, but they're back on now. So Leicestershire need or defend 211, so 212 needed to win for the Yorkshire Vikings here. And intriguingly, Richard, Colin Ackerman is going to open the bowling, which is interesting. We haven't seen him bowl that much. He's got a pretty good economy rate so far this season, but he's only bowled what? He's maybe bowled 3 or 4 times in this campaign, hasn't he? Certainly.
7 overs in 4 innings, 2 for 50.
He's always been a bit reticent to bring himself on as captain.
Too much so. Too reluctant to bring himself on.
But this hopefully.
Watch him. He's probably going to go around the park now, but he can be, and has been, as you know, very, very effective.
World record holder. He's up to the wicket. He gets this innings underway, and it's hit for a 2, I think. Are they going to run back for the second? They are. Aaron Lilly throws the ball in from deep mid-wicket. It was pulled out towards the boundary there, and the single is... 2 added, so Leicestershire... Leicestershire's defence starts with a 2-ball concession from Yorkshire. Allen on to 2. It's Allen and Lythe, the 2 opening batters. Ackerman in, bowls. This is heaved down the ground. Not a pretty shot from Allen. He sort of rocked back on his heels and punted it down the ground. Single added as it's fielded by Vian Mulder at long on.
7 innings for Finn Allen. 171 runs, a best of 48. So you wouldn't say that was necessarily the impact he'd have wanted to make.
No. Adam Lythe was the high scorer in the last game for Yorkshire, getting a 50 in a defeat to Birmingham. As Ackerman comes in, and Lythe goes for the big slog sweep. He moves across his stump, so it hits his pad, but he's well outside the line of off stump as it smashes into them. So smashes into his pad, I should say. 3 for no loss, the score.
Yeah, 466 runs. It's been a wonderful competition for Adam Lythe. Just signed a new 3-year contract, which is not bad for a 34-year-old.
Yeah, very competent player. Just didn't quite have it when it came to playing for England. Played quite a few tests, but just couldn't get a decent run of scores as Ackerman bowls. Back goes Lythe and glances it into the leg side. It's fielded by Louis Kimber, and a single is added. 4 for no loss.
I always think of, I don't know if you're allowed to mention his name these days, Andrew Gale. You know, when talking about Hewitt and Lythe, is a better player, more talented player than Joe Root.
Really?
You know, intrinsically talented.
As Ackerman comes in, bowls, and there's a leading edge, and it dribbles away to Rian Ahmed at short third man. Good bowling from Ackerman. Squared Allen up, who'd moved across his stumps to try and work it away on the leg side. No run. As Ackerman comes in for the final ball of this first over. Down the pitch comes Allen, and he can't get to the pitch of the ball, so he just flicks it away onto the leg side. They come back for 2 as Lilly throws the ball in. It's a big old throw, that, and Ackerman claps Lilly because it was an attempt at the stumps. End of the first over. 6 for no loss. The required run rate at this stage, 10.8, as they have 19 overs, Yorkshire, with 206 needed to win.
Yeah, good over from Ackerman. No boundaries conceded.
This is why it's always a shame that it's always such a shame he's so reluctant to bring himself on, isn't it? Because he often makes that kind of impact.
The pitch may have dried. You know, obviously it's been under covers since Friday night. We had an awful lot of rain in Leicester yesterday, so it would have stayed under the covers. And I suspect it may be a little bit drier, maybe a bit more in it for the spinners this afternoon than there was on Friday evening. Certainly Leicestershire going spin from both ends. Callum Parkinson with his left arm orthodox from around the wicket to the left-handed. Lythe is in. Lythe steps back, makes room, tries to cut it away into the offside. Does, but it's fielded by Vian Mulder at extra cover. Dot ball. A little bit dark, a few more shower clouds around, but they're moving fairly quickly. We should be okay. Parkinson is in. Lythe is into the offside, off a leading edge, and it was squirting through the offside and beat the fielder at cover, Nick Welch, who does sometimes struggle a little bit in the field. He wasn't sure, I think, whether to go forward and try and get his hands underneath it because it wasn't far from being a catch. He stepped back to make sure he got there, and the bounce beat him. So frustrating for Parkinson, who is in again at 2 Lythes, going for that slog sweep again, missing it again, comes off the pad. Lewis Hill comes from behind the stumps and Fields. It was going down the offside, I suspect. He stepped so far across, so no appeal for leg before. Sun between the clouds comes back out as Parkinson is in. Down the wicket goes Lythe, driving hard, but only as far as Ackerman at mid-off. Coming in from the edge of the circle. This would have been an outstanding 4 balls had Welsh not misfielded there. 10 without loss. That the only scoring shot so far in the over. Parkinson is in. Quicker delivery that is for. Turns his wrists on it, Lythe. All he can do is work it back up the wicket to Parkinson, who rather stomps back to his mark, registering determination with every stride. Can he come out of the over? Well, he is in and bowls. Lythe is down the wicket, working one off his legs down towards Rehan Ahmed at short fine leg. 1 is taken. End of the over. 11 for no wicket, so just the 5 runs from the over, the misfielded 4 and a single.
Very good over from Callum Parkinson. It's a real shame about that 4. Yeah, Nick Welsh was just caught in 2 minds, wasn't he? It was nearly a catch, but he let the ball bounce. It was a little bit of an uneven bounce, but not too much. It raced away for 4. Still, though, 11 for no loss is not too shabby a start in the power play. And now Naveen Ul-Haq will bowl from the pavilion end in what has been a superb season for him. He had a pretty bad game yesterday, on Friday.
Well, he still only went for 26 from his 4 overs, or 3.5 overs as things turned out, so he was still sort of fairly economical and very hard to read, and sort of played his part in the win, but not in the aftermath, alas.
That's Naveen. Will bowl. The Afghan pace bowler runs away from us now. He's up to the wicket. He bowls. This is a fast delivery, banged into the pitch, and Lythe goes back and plays it into the ground and runs through for a single. He moves on to 7. 12 for no loss, so 200 needed to win for Yorkshire in 17.5 overs. Ackerman waves his hands, sends fielders and moves fielders. It's a feature of Naveen's bowling, isn't it? The hand waving, the fiddling with the field almost constantly.
He'll move somebody a foot or 2, or completely unnecessary. There he goes. There you go. Look at him. He's telling. Who's he talking to now?
I think he's telling Kimber to move a little squarer.
Take a single stride to your left.
He's
a bit more for Rishi Patel.
He's got body warmers on, black body warmer underneath his Leicestershire top as he comes in now, bowls, and it's glanced around the corner just wide of the man at backward square leg, and it's going to run away towards the boundary. Lily's going to scoop it out and save the boundary. They're going to run through for 3. That's good running from that pair. Allen on to 8, Lythe on to 7. There is a 3 out there at that long boundary. Naveen, is it still 23 wickets Naveen is on? Correct. Top of the charts. Could win the battle. He probably won't actually. It's a lot closer. He was far and away the best bowler last season. But there's a few other players who've got around 20 wickets in the competition as Naveen comes in, bowls, and it's cut. It's a slower delivery, a wide one, and Lythe almost fell over himself trying to cut it straight to cover point. And there is no run. But you're right, you said this on Friday night, Richard. I cannot believe he's not got a 100 contract. It seems to be a no-brainer. You'd probably pick him up relatively cheaply. He's consistently he's consistently performed brilliantly in a middling team in this competition. As Naveen runs in towards us. He's up to the wicket, he bowls, and that's hit high up in the air. It's towards the short boundary, 1 bounce and 4. It's always going to be a boundary. The fielder at deep mid-wicket was too far away from it. It was nicely placed by Lythe, and he glanced that away rather nicely, and it raced away to the boundary for 4 runs. They found boundaries hard to come by, these two, at the start of this innings, but that was easy enough. Some of the Leicestershire players make their way past us.
Roman Walker, Eddie Barnes among them. We're going to have a watch from the Burrows Terrace.
Yeah, the seats right by us up here in the commentary box are almost exactly behind the bowler's arm as Naveen takes a few steps forward, then back. It's a strange start to his run-up, and he really does gallop in like a stallion. He's up to the wicket, he bowls, and this is heaved. Big hit down the ground, and that's going to be 6 runs. It's a big hit, good pick-up from Lythe, who saw that early, and it was in the slot, slightly on the up, but comfortable enough and well-timed by Lythe. As you say, with 400 runs, he's in form, and that was a shot of a man in form.
He's closing in on 500. We saw yesterday, Lynn, on Friday, sorry, went past 500, didn't he? But Lythe's right up there.
Naveen just wipes the ball on his trousers there. Holds the ball close to his chest. He's past the umpire, he bowls, and it's hit on the pad. There's a big appeal for before wicket. Richard shakes his head. That was the most ambitious, almost stupidly ambitious shout I've ever seen. Right arm bowler bowling over the wicket to the left-hander, pitched well outside leg stump, and so there was no hope there. But end of the over, 14 off it. Very rare, expensive over from Naveen ul Haq, the Afghanistan pace bowler, but the score 25 for no loss. Lythe on 17, Allen on 8, and they need the Yorkshire Vikings 187 to win off 17 overs.
Vian Mulder is going to come on from the Bennett end. He's going to be bowling to Finn Allen, 8 off 5 for Allen, 17 off 13 for Lythe with that 6. Men out at mid-wicket, and where's the other one? As in comes Mulder, bowls, very full outside off stump at long on, of course, which is where Mulder likes his men, and it is, as Mulder likes to bowl from that far end. Very full outside off stump, and worked by Allen, somehow out towards long on. Kimber is the fielder. Single taken, 26 without loss. Lythe was quite circumspect in the first couple of overs, wasn't he? He was careful, and he knows his importance to the side, I think, and he knows the importance of keeping wickets in hand in the power play. Round the wicket comes Mulder and bowls to him. He steps down the wicket and lofts it beautifully over extra cover for 6. Glorious shot by Adam Lythe. Beautiful hit to the offside. Again, although it was very much aerial, it was quite classical in its execution. He has a lovely swing. I bet he's a great golfer, Adam Lythe.
Yeah, it's a fantastic shot. And the problem is you can't bowl that line in length with the field that Leicestershire have got. There's nobody on the boundary on the offside. They're trying to sort of bowl it, so he's trying to hit it out towards the long boundary. But that was too easy. Lovely shot.
Mulder is in again to him. Better length, but carved away through the offside again. Beautifully timed. It was in the air, bounced maybe 1.5 foot short of Ben Mike, diving across to his left in the covers. Couldn't get there, and rocketed to the boundary. 10 off 2 balls for Lythe, who's beginning to tee off, and tee off in some style. He moves on to 27 off 15. They need him early. The Foxes, that is. I love this in Who's Who. Adam Lythe, what's the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? He says, Whitby seafront. In goes Mulder and bowls down the leg side to him, and he steps inside the line. It was well down the leg side and is duly signalled wide by umpire Pollard.
It is lovely up there, to be fair. Whitby seafront is fantastic, isn't it? Is that where they have all the fish and chip shops?
Oh, they have some on the harbour, yeah. That's for sure. Quite steep. I mean, I prefer the sort of bit further south, Scarborough, Bridlington, sort of Filey area. I like to be able to sort of run along the seafront. Bit too hilly at Whitby. In goes Mulder and bowls full and straight to Lythe. Worked out in towards the point area. The diving Naveen ul Haq makes a stop. Lythe takes one. Having offended everybody listening in Whitby, I do apologise. But please, everybody listening in Scarborough, Filey and Brid, hopefully. 38 without loss. But at least you can get up onto the moors quickly. Well, you can in Scarborough, of course. From Scarborough, you can see the North York moors. Nowhere better to watch your cricket. Mulder back over the wicket to Finn Allen. Again full, but again it's down the leg side to the right hand. And although Hill stops it comfortably enough behind the stumps, another wide is signalled. Mulder just struggling a little bit against the sort of right hand, left hand combination. So just the 4 legitimate deliveries so far. 39 without loss, 14 off the over. 2 balls to go. Leon Mulder tosses the ball from hand to hand. Slightly angled run, comes in and bowls again down the leg side, another wide. And although Allen this time did try and whip it away, because both men behind square on the leg side are up inside the circle, didn't get anything on it. Parkinson has his hands on his hips at short fine leg. Naveen ul Haq ditto at shortish backward square, again on the edge of the circle. Ben Mike is out on the mid-wicket boundary, swinging his arms. He's probably going to bowl shortly. Louis Kimber, the other man, out at long on. Mulder is in much straighter this time. Clipped by Allen off the back foot through the vacant mid-wicket area down or out towards Ben Mike. 1 is taken, brings Yorkshire score on to 41. Still a ball to go in the over, so 16 off the over thus far. Sun goes in, goes noticeably cooler here in the East Midlands. Supposed to get warmer again next week, isn't it? Happily, round the wicket goes Mulder. Bowls to Lythe, who waits deep in his crease, turns it out towards mid-wicket. Could be a second. Ackerman throws, but it's a poor throw, and it's going to be 4 overthrows. Buzzers. Ackerman pulled his throw, and although Hill dived to his right and Parkinson to his left, trying to back up, the throw eluded them both, so the 2 becomes a 6, and an already bad over for Leicestershire becomes something of a horror show. 47 without loss at the end of it. 22 from the over.
And we're seeing something that we haven't really seen from Leicestershire so far this season, which is some poor fielding. We saw that mistake from Nick Welsh. I think the Leicestershire teammates were disappointed with Ben Mike's attempt to try and stop the first boundary of that last Mulder over, where it bounced in front of him and went for 4, and then that was really horrible stuff. Just unfortunate. And as you say, he pulled his throw, Ackerman, and then it almost perfectly found the gap in the field. 47 for no loss. And Mike will bowl his first over of the game. Bowled the all-important final over against Northamptonshire on Fridays. Leicester won by 1 run as Mike bowls a full delivery. His inside edge hit straight to square leg, and there is no run. Allen on 10, Lythe on 34. And that has pushed the run rate above the required level. So they're going at 11.3 and over at the moment. The required run rate 10.4. And it's just that over's just changed the complexion, really. It had been a decent start from the Foxes, hadn't it? Parkinson and Ackerman keeping things tight.
36 off overs 3 and 4.
That's Mike. It's bounds in, hit on the pad. It's going down the leg side. It was hit on the full. It was a big appeal from somebody.
Hilly.
It's Lewis Hill. Oh, so you probably hear that in our effects microphone all the way. You probably distinguished that was Lewis Hill.
Allen missed out big time there, didn't he? Yeah. Really full toss on right shin high on your legs.
Yeah, if you get out to that ball, you are not going to be a very happy chappy. So Mike spins the ball from his right to his left hand. He flicks his wrist and surveys the field. So a man going out at deep backward square leg. There's a deep mid wicket as well as the 2 men out during the power play. As Mike comes in, he bowls and it's hit down into the ground on the leg side. Mike is going to have to bowl straight to this field. They're giving the runs away on the leg side towards the towards the longer boundary. Everybody inside the ring on the shorter boundary. Ackerman just moves some of the field in. They've got a left and right hand combination. So Kimber is going to move out to deep mid wicket, and Vion Mulder coming down the ground to long on. As obviously giving the runs away on the leg side at the moment, so he'd suggest still it will be straight from Mike as he runs in, bowls, it's wide, outside off stump, and it's carved away for 4 runs. Behind square, not entirely convincing, I don't think he timed it perfectly, but he did get it up and over the infield pretty impressively, so 4 runs there to Adam Lyth, who looks pretty comfortable out there and looks worryingly ominously dangerous from a Leicestershire perspective. 38 he's got off 18 and 52 for no loss. They've raced to 50, haven't they, Yorkshire, Richard, and they need 160 to win.
Yeah, and Lyth does now have his 500 in the competition for the season. Power to add too.
That's Mike, big tall man, very athletic build. Starts his run up now with a few walking steps, and now he bounds in past the umpire. He bowls a full toss outside off stump, cut for 4, and it's going to be signalled a no ball because it was too high, and we'll have a free hit. This is the problem with Mike, isn't it? Unfortunately, there's just that little bit of inconsistency. He's capable of bowling those balls, and it was punished, and he might be doubly punished as he's got to bowl a free hit after this.
He looked very disappointed. It was marginal, wasn't it? And it was wide. It wasn't remotely sort of dangerous, but there you go. Callum Parkinson's wandering out. He and Lyth are having a chat about something or other. One trusts.
Wonder if it was about
spirit.
Might have been about that no ball. I don't know.
Lyth's not going to go and say, I don't think it was, is he? So I'm not quite sure what he.
Mike runs in now, he bowls, drags this down, shower, ball, and it's pulled away around the corner for 6. No, 4. I thought it was a 6 as well, Richard, but it landed just inside the rope. By the looks of things, must have been by a matter of inches. But that was a poor ball from Mike.
He's asking now. He's asking, was it 6? I thought that was over the ropes by a good foot, to be honest.
Well, Lyth is not happy. He's asking and complaining to the umpires, Lyth, because he definitely thought that was a 6. He's asking the square leg umpire.
So did I.
Yes, I did.
But anyway, there's no change to the signal. Lyth looks less than gruntled. Again, he's making signs and signals saying, well,
dissent.
Well, there are cameras.
Is the watchword.
Maybe they could change it afterwards if it needs to be changed.
Yeah. Well, 4 it is. As Mike comes in, that was a poor ball, and he bowls a very similarly poor ball that's going to be a wide. And these Leicestershire are just sort of falling apart here in terms of their discipline. That's a few. We've seen too many wides in the past few overs, haven't we, Richard, from a Leicestershire perspective? And just not bowling to the field. That man has moved out now to long leg to try and stop that leg side glance.
16 off the over so far.
There's 1 ball left as Mike comes in. He bowls. That's glanced into the leg side. Finer. So finds Rian Ahmed, who is at short fine leg. That is the end of the over. 64 for no loss. The last few overs have been very expensive indeed. 14, 22 and 17, which have given Yorkshire the impetus and have given them the momentum in this game. They've got the start they need to go and win this, haven't they, Richard? Let's be fair, and they haven't lost any wickets.
And there's an over to go in the power play, so this could be, almost decisive, really. If they come out of this at something around about 80 without loss, then with Allen, who's only scoring at a run a ball, well, goodness me.
And it's no wonder they've brought Naveen back. I think they've probably brought him on earlier than they would have wanted to, Richard, I would think, because they want to keep keep things tight.
The spinners went for 11 from 2. The pace bowlers have gone for rather more than that. So anyway, Naveen is in, bowls to Lyth, who steers the straight ball out, but straight to Ackerman at mid off. So just wondering why they maybe didn't think Leicestershire about going for another over of spin, really, but. Yeah, 53 off the seam bowlers, 3 overs.
When you've got so many good quality spinners.
A little bit hard to understand, yeah. Changes to the field. Nick Welch comes in from the mid-wicket boundary to the edge of the circle. Naveen stutters in and bowls a slower ball to Lyth, slightly short as well. Hits it down into the ground, sees it's not going very quickly out towards Ackerman, calls Allen through for a quick single. Good call from Lyth. Allen indicates it was the slower ball, but I think Lyth was aware of that, and it's picking it that's the tricky thing. 65 without loss. Finn Allen on strike. 6 tests for the Kiwi. Made quite a big impact when he first arrived, and he sort of made a big impression, if you like. In goes Naveen, bowls to him. He just waits for a slightly wide delivery, steers it calmly out towards backward point. You heard the come on as he called Lyth through for an easy single. Rishi Patel was the fielder. 66 without loss. It's probably fair to say Allen, as I say, hasn't sort of cemented that or sort of improved on that impression particularly. He's coming to play a little bit of domestic cricket in the UK. 66 without loss. Lyth on 48 already. Waits as Naveen is in. Bowls to him a full toss and he whips away off leg stump down towards fine leg. No chance. Well, there was a chance for Lilly to get there. Did his very best but couldn't quite make it. And Adam Lyth goes on to his half century in just the 6th over of the innings. Well played, Adam Lyth. And it is his 5th to go with the other, well, obviously the other 4 he's made so far this season. Hasn't made 100 quite yet, but I think he has here in the past, in white ball cricket.
There was the, what was it, the 2nd or 3rd biggest T20 Blast score. I think he got 100 that day, didn't he?
He did. In goes Naveen. Bowls to him. He's top-edged one down towards fine leg. Ahmed is under it and takes the catch. Short ball, looked to pull it, got a top edge. Ahmed running back towards the fine leg boundary. Did very, very well indeed. Clutched it to his chest, and Lyth's very bright innings has come to an end. Not before time as far as the Foxes are concerned. He made 52 of 25 deliveries and has given his side a very good start. 70 for 1 though.
That's a key wicket because Lyth looks so dangerous, really, really ominous for Leicestershire. And it was a really good bouncer, I thought, from Naveen. It surprised Lyth. And you often see the slow bouncer as a key weapon, but that was just a quick, orthodox bouncer almost, and it did for Lyth. Brilliant bowling from Naveen. 24 wickets now in this competition. If he gets in and around 25, 26, you do wonder whether he will be caught again. Although there will be other players and other teams who have potentially another 3 matches in this competition. Leicestershire will not be one of them.
Great catch by Ahmed running back.
Yeah, it's not easy
coming
when
over
it's
your
come over your
shoulder.
shoulder.
Yeah. And the youngster did very well. So 1 ball to go in the power play. Dawid Malan has come to the wicket. He will have a look. That's the way he plays. He always usually has a look at sort of 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 before starting to unfurl his expansive range of shots. Stands very tall at the crease, the left-hander. As in comes Naveen, bowls to him. He clips it nicely and firmly, but only as far as Nick Welch at mid-wicket. End of the over. Well, good comeback from Naveen Ul-Haq. 1 for 20 from 2 overs for him. 70 for 1. It could have been worse. Just the 6 runs from that final over of the power play. As far as the Foxes are concerned, it could have been worse, but still, when you're chasing 212 to win, 70 for 1 off the power play, I think you'd probably take.
Yeah, it's not too bad. And you're right, well, Milan got 50 from 38 balls in the game at Headingley, which Leicestershire won. And even though he was the top scorer, you sort of felt like there needed to be more runs in that innings. It was too slow, and it got him and Joe Root got Yorkshire in a bit of a rut on that occasion. Leicestershire able to win that quite comfortably. Colin Ackerman, who was the star with the bat. Was a star with the bat that day. He was a star with the bat today for Leicestershire 2. 70 for 1. Yorkshire need 142 to win this game in 14 overs. So the required run rate is at 10.1. Yorkshire still above it as Ackerman comes in from the pavilion end, and back goes Allen and drives this down the ground. And there is 1 run added to the total. It's such a shame, isn't it, Richard? You know, we were... If it wasn't for Leicestershire's 2 points docked earlier on today, this would have been really tense, really exciting. The crowd would have been on edge.
Yeah, it all feels like a Sunday afternoon, doesn't it, really, now, rather than a evening game.
And as Ackerman bowls this flatter and quicker, which we quite meant to bowl it like that, and Naveen does well to field. That's collected on the boundary and thrown in. And a single is added. 72 for 1. Allen on to 13. Milan on 1.
I would imagine the administrative staff at Headingley are all watching with sort of biting their nails a bit, having to...
Ackerman bowls straight away. Nearly catches Allen out, but he whips it away on the leg side to deep mid-wicket. Lily actually feels very well, gets the ball away quickly, but it's well run by Allen and Milan, and they get 2 for that.
Just to sell the tickets, you know, in this short time, you know, they're doing the competition no favours in that respect.
Well, it's incredibly frustrating, really, isn't it? You know, the game is trying to sell itself as best as it possibly can, get people in the community involved. Ackerman bowls, and that's a hip-height delivery straight that's glanced behind square on the leg side. Single is taken. And when you're only allowing 2-3 days for people to go, and at Headingley you can get 10,000 people down there, but you need to find out about it. Word of mouth needs to travel. Your marketing department needs to do the work to get people in, and you just can't do that in 2 days. And so events like quarterfinals get missed out. It's very frustrating as Ackerman comes in, bowls. It's a straight delivery. Doesn't get a lot of bounce on that. Whipped away into the leg side. Naveen Fields running in from deep mid-wicket, and there is a single added. Milan is on 2. 76 for 1. 136 needed to win.
This is dependent, obviously, if Yorkshire, if all the other results go their way, they would have to finish second.
Ackerman bowls, and it's flicked away. Well fielded. There's a man at a sort of short mid-wicket there, Rishi Patel, who dives to his left of field. That's the end of the over. And Ackerman is keeping things tight. That was an impressive over, just 6 off it. And this is an important period of the match. If Leicestershire can strangle Yorkshire, get the squeeze on, then they could force the pendulum back a little bit in their direction. It's in the favour of Yorkshire as it stands. 76 for 1, 136 to win. You are right, of course, it doesn't necessarily have to be Headingley, but the same is true if it's Surrey at the Oval or if it's whatever. You know, the cricket calendar is so packed, but they don't do themselves any favours in trying to sell the product that they've got. And for people who care about the game and the county game, that's frustrating.
Parkinson back on at the Bennett end, round the wicket to the left-handed Milan, who goes back and thumps it away through extra cover for 4. It was just short and wide, a little bit too short, a little bit too wide from Parkinson, and Milan stood up tall, cracked it away off the back foot, well in front of square, as I say, through the extra cover area, and picks up a boundary. Good start to the over for the batting side. They can look now to work Parkinson around a little bit. 80 for 1. Milan, having hit that 4, then just checks his guard, as is his wont. I think he takes a sort of couple of guards. He likes to see where he's batting on off stump at least, as over the wicket goes Parkinson. He drives in the air out towards Mike on the cover boundary. Mike isn't sure how that is going to bounce, and he looks very uncertain, but does manage to knock the ball down before getting his throw away. Milan just picks up the single, moves on to 7. Allen 2. Retakes his guard against Parkinson, who's going to go back round to the right-hander. In he goes, driving in the air, caught. It was full and on the back foot. His weight was on the back foot when perhaps it needed to be on the front foot, and it was in the air, and Ackerman leapt into the air, took the ball two-handed, roundabout, only just above head height, and a comfortable enough catch for Leicestershire's captain. Beat of the drums signifies the demise of Finn Allen. 16 off 16 balls for Allen. Disappointing for him. 81 for 2.
Callum Parkinson, I was just trying to watch it on the replay there. Callum Parkinson, I think it was making a shushing noise, or shushing motion. After that, I don't know whether there was some chat going on. I wasn't sure who it was aimed at. It may have been a little bit of chat between Parkinson and the non-striking batsman there, who would have been Milan, I don't know. The umpire was then incredibly frustrated because Ackerman threw it about 6 feet in front of him, so he had to wander and pick it up. Big wicket though.
Parkinson has picked up his share of wickets in recent overs, in recent matches as well. Goes in and bowls to Tom Kohler-Cadmore, who stays on the back foot and works a delivery out towards mid-on. Long on, has to run into field, and the single is easily taken. Parkinson, that's his 20th wicket.
He doesn't have a bad game, does he? Doesn't have a bad game. Mr. Consistent. Regularly keeps the runs tight, gets wickets, starts the innings really well.
He's staying around the wicket to Milan, and Milan waits for it, clips it away off middle and leg, out towards Aaron Lilly at deep mid-wicket, takes one. Yorkshire listeners may be interested to know Parkinson was the top English-born wicket-taker in the county championship the last season. Spinner, that is. In he goes and bowls. Forward goes Kohler-Cadmore, working it out towards short mid-wicket. There's momentary hesitation before the two go for the single, which they complete comfortably enough. Parkinson himself feels off his own bowling. Another good over, relatively speaking, for the Foxes, notwithstanding in that he came back very strong from conceding 4 from the first ball, picked up a wicket. 84 for 2 after 8. That means that there were 8 runs from the over.
126 to win for Yorkshire in 12 overs. They're chasing down 212 to win after Leicestershire Leicestershire got 211 for 7. Colin Ackerman with a brilliant 72 not out, as Rian Ahmed will bowl from the pavilion end. A leg spinner bowls it's a bit of spin on that, and the drive from Kohler-Cadmore beats the dive of Naveen Ul-Haq to his left. I think he's hurt himself a bit, Naveen, there. He's limping away, lifts his head to the heavens as he jogs to the mid-wicket boundary to the left-handed David Milan. Listening to live T20 cricket, Leicestershire against Yorkshire on BBC Radio Leicester. Final T20 of the season. We were hoping it wasn't going to be, but it is, for Leicestershire anyway. As Ahmed comes in, floats this one. I think that might have been the googly from him. Either way, it kept straight at the very least. As it's played down the ground, Kimber will field. Whips it in right-handed on the bounce, and there is a single added to the total. 86 for 2. Kohler-Cadmore onto 3, Milan onto 9. In comes Ahmed, tosses this one up, it's hit high in the air, down the ground towards Kimber, who takes the catch, and Rian Ahmed gets the wicket. Brave bowling from the 17-year-old. He tossed it up, waited for the spin, and it was Kohler-Cadmore who took the gamble, went after the ball on a half volley and hit it straight down Kimber's throat. Comfortable catch for the big man on the boundary at long off, and there's the 3rd wicket. That's a key one, and actually Leicestershire getting right back into this game. 86 for 3 is the score, and Yorkshire require 126 to win in 9.5 overs.
Yeah, really poor choice of shot from Tom Kohler-Cadmore in the circumstances, I would suggest. But now is the key partnership, possibly as far as the game is concerned, because Harry Brook comes out to join David Milan. And if they can break this partnership early, then Leicestershire will certainly be the favourites.
Is he still the top county championship run scorer, Harry Brook? In Division 1 anyway. I'm going to look that up.
413 runs in this competition in 10 innings at 45 for Harry Cherrington Brook. I do like that. Great name. Great name.
Yeah. Part of the England squad, wasn't he, too, as Ahmed bowls the googly, and he's very lucky. He gets away with that. It span towards the leg side. Huge amount of turn on that, Richard, there. And it hit Brook on the pad. Had it not hit him, and he tried to sort of heave it away, it didn't bounce either. Don't often see that much spin on a Grace Road wicket, do you? Ahmed can make it happen with his wrist spin. As he bowls a beauty. Tossed outside off stump. And it beats the outside edge of Brook, who dangled the bat. Poor foot movement. And
that was a very un-Brook-like shot, wasn't it? It was beaten to the wide by that one.
Second highest run scorer in the county championship in Division 1, Richard, as Ahmed bowls reverse sweep, and and the bounce comes to Rishi Patel, who does brilliantly well diving to his right. It was right on the bounce that he picked that up, and that is the end of the over. Unsurprisingly, Patel getting a lot of high fives and congratulations from his teammates after stopping that. He stopped a 4, a definite 4 there. End of the over, 86 for 3, 9 overs gone, just 2 off it, Richard, and Rian Ahmed, who, you know, we'll probably on Tuesday on the cricket show discuss the T20 season, the stars, and I think Rian Ahmed is one of them. They found a real diamond in him. He's had a great season.
Parkinson over the wicket to Malan is in. Malan hits high over mid-wicket. Beautiful pick-up, and I think that's gone all the way. It has. Effortless, almost. It sounded like there was a lot of effort went into it, if you heard the sound of the bat on ball in the effects mic there, but goodness me, that was a beautifully clean hit. But it wasn't a big swing of the bat, just powerful and timing. And fetch that.
Yeah, that's a great
dismissive,
shot.
wasn't it? Malan 15 off 8. In goes Parkinson back round the wicket to the left-hander, trying to cramp him up a little bit. Malan clips him away off mid-wicket out towards Aaron Lilly, at mid-wicket I should say.
Good comeback from Parkinson, that.
Takes a single. 6 off the first ball though. He's going to have to come back as he did in his previous over. Strong to restrict the over a little bit. He's into Brook, who's again looking to reverse paddle, reverse scoop really, and does so very successfully. Past Lewis Hill, who looks disappointed with himself, but inside the man at short fine leg, Ahmed, and it runs down to the, well, pretty much the sight screen, almost directly behind the wicketkeeper. Not quite, but clever stuff from Brook in the modern way.
That was a lovely shot.
Nice way to get off, interesting way to get off the mark anyway. 97 for 3, 11 off the first 3 balls of the over. Parkinson round the wicket again to Brook, who goes back and conventionally, I say that with a sort of slight touch of relief really, steers it away through the offside out towards Lilly like a proper young right-handed Yorkshire batsman should play the ball. Takes 1. 98 for 3. Parkinson again round to Malan, who is just content. They know they've got the runs they need off this over. Content just to lean forward and play it calmly out towards Mulder, who is at long on. Walk almost the single. 99 for 3. Parkinson into Brook, who is cross-batted driving. Doesn't get anything on it. Not taken cleanly by Lewis Hill, bounces comfortably enough down towards Rihan Ahmed at fine leg. End of the over, 99 for 3, so 13 from it. I suppose could have been worse in the circumstances, but fairly close at the halfway stage. Leicestershire were 97 for 2. Yorkshire are 99 for 3.
Yeah, I think the wicket column has just meant that it's a little bit closer in terms of the balance of probability on who's going to win this, but they're above the run rate. The required run rate are Yorkshire. They're going at 11.3 and over. Oh, sorry, no, they're not. They're behind it. I was getting the 2 figures mixed up. They are going at 9.9. They need 11.3, so they are actually quite a way behind it. Ackerman comes in, he bowls, and it's a straight delivery. Back goes Malan and pushes it down the ground to Louis Kimber for a single.
DLS, they're about right.
Yeah.
Just 2 runs short on DLS, so it's close. It's another close one, or it looks as though it could be.
It's good. It's entertaining. We haven't had a lot of it this season, have we? Leicestershire have either battered teams or been battered. We haven't seen too many close games as Ackerman comes in, and it's played down the ground, down to long on, where Vian Mulder, 24 on his back, fields and launches the ball in right-handed. I'm thinking the Birmingham game was a good finish, wasn't it, where they needed 6 off the last ball to tie it and didn't get it. And then Northamptonshire on Friday night. Those have been the 2 close games. Otherwise, there's been a winner early on. Ackerman comes in, bowls, and it doesn't spin at all. Ackerman raises his head to the skies as it was an inside edge from Brook and squirts away out into the leg side. Single taken again.
Milan.
Brook to face. He's quite haunched over. Yeah, bats right down, really crouches down when he bats and wristily flicks this down the ground.
Talking about battering, the Magpie Cafe, that's a good one at Fish and Chips at Whitby. There are a couple, there are others. Big queues there at the Magpie, I think. Can be a pain.
So Milan on 19 as Ackerman comes in. Oh, and he's played on. Back went Milan trying to cut it away, but he was just cramped up for room by Ackerman's delivery, which didn't bounce a huge amount and just held its line, and so Milan played it straight into his middle stump. The bail's dislodged, and there's a 4th wicket falls. That's a key wicket. The big partnership broken. Ackerman, the man again, as he gets his first wicket, and they score 103 for 4. 109 to win for Yorkshire, but they're losing the wickets. They're going at about the right run rate, but they're not keeping their wickets and getting partnerships together. So this game in the balance, but Leicestershire might fancy it from here after that wicket. And Ackerman again, Richard, delivers the goods when he's bowling. It's a bit frustrating, really, because he always does this kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's a big wicket. I think Leicestershire are the favourites now. Brooks obviously still there, and Willie, we want to make a point, but after that it's kind of down to the all-rounders, and not too many that have necessarily made big runs so far this season, so it's very top 6 as far as Yorkshire are concerned.
The new batter rather, is David Willey, the captain, left-handed. As Ackerman comes in, across the stumps goes Willie and just flicks this onto the leg side. Naveen will field. The only man without a baseball cap on. Well, I'm not sure they're baseball caps. I think they're more snapbacks, I believe is what they're called. What the kids call them. So, end of the over. Another very good one from Ackerman. 3 overs for 17 the Leicestershire captain has gone for. Just 5 off it. And you look at what the last 5 overs there, Richard, which you've got in front of me. 6, 8, 2. Granted, there was a 13 from Parkinson's previous over. And then Ackerman from 5. They've got the squeeze on in these middle overs, which may be all important. They've got wickets too during that period. 3 wickets and not a lot of runs conceded in that 5 over spell.
The Leicestershire charge came at the end, really, so we feel they're in a good position as that one from Ahmed is worked out to mid-wicket. Ackerman fields, throws right over the stumps. Hill shows the ball to the stumps, doesn't take off the bails, knowing that Brook had made his ground, but he did have to scamper a little bit, Harry Brook there. 105 for 4. 107 needed. At 12 and over. Brook hits straight and very, very true into the black sight screen behind the bowler's arm at the Bennett end. He tossed that one up. He was brave, Ahmed, there, but it didn't turn, and Brook, unfussily, really, just hit it straight back over his head for a big straight 6. Moves the score on to 111 for 4. Harry Brook into double figures onto 13.
It wasn't a very high 6, but I think it would still be travelling.
Ahmed a bit flatter and a bit quicker this time, outside off stump. Brook stays on the back foot, works it out to Ackerman, but only as far as Ackerman had extra cover. No run. Ahmed bounces in and bowls. Brook is advancing down the wicket. Ahmed may have seen him coming, dragged his length back a little bit. Went through with the drive, slightly cross-batted from Harry Brook, out through mid-off to long off. Mulder, the fielder, out there. Brook takes 1. Ahmed is going to go around the wicket to the left-handed David Willey. Tosses that one right up. Willey waits for it though, doesn't step out and try and drive it away, just dabs it around the corner to square leg. Rishi Patel runs round to pick it up, beating Lewis Hill to it. Single taken by Willey. He too conscious of the need to preserve his wicket at this stage. Still plenty of overs left as Ahmed goes in both short and wide outside off stump. Brook cuts it out towards the point boundary. Lilly runs around to his left, does so sufficiently quickly to keep it down to 1. So in the end, the 6 notwithstanding, just 10 runs from that Ahmed over. Won't be too dismayed by that in the circumstances.
Yeah, no, it's really not too bad, and considering the over started, as you say, with that big 6, and he came back nicely. I love the bravery with which Ahmed plays. Nice to toss it up, try and see if the ball can spin, takes risks with his bowling. Really lovely to see. Ackerman to bowl his final over with his right arm spin. He comes in, he's flicked away by Willey down the ground, who's going at a run of ball at the moment. 4 from 4.
Brook, I think.
What?
Brook was on strike.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, right hand.
Sorry, it was the scoreboard that confused me. Ackerman, and that's played by Willey.
It freezes sometimes, I'm afraid.
To Lilly. Willey to Lilly, and Lilly throws it in. And it's 114 for 4. Ackerman to bowl then from the pavilion end. He's up to the wicket now. And Willey goes with a big hit, a pinful over before wicket, and given out. That looked plumb from here. That was pretty obvious decision, completely missed. He went for the slog sleep, did Willey, and missed it entirely. And a 5th wicket goes, and that might be the key wicket, Richard, because Leicestershire have struck the key blow. Willey's a destructive all-rounder, and he has to go for 3. They've stopped the runs flowing from Yorkshire, and they're getting wickets at regular intervals too. That is the 4th wicket in the past 6 overs, and this looks like it's Leicestershire's game now. They should win this. Of course, it unfortunately doesn't count for anything, which we thought it would do. 114 for 5.
In fact, I mean, Brook is still there, obviously. The class act, 15 not out off 12, and certainly the rest of the batting lineup can play around him, and you never quite know. But Fox is very much the favourites now when the rate required is over 12. Can Brook sort of work it around the electronic scoreboard has decided it's basically had enough. Shadab Khan comes to the wicket with those, I was going to say splendidly turquoise boots, but I'm not sure everyone would agree with me. 2 for 20 for Ackers.
He's bowled very, very well, kept it tight. As he comes in now, big tall man, and he bowls. That's a brilliant spinner there, just tossed it up, got a bit of bounce, and Shadab Khan didn't know what to do with that. Just pushed at it. No run. 117 for 5. Ackerman bowls. It's played straight back to the Leicestershire captain. No run again. How many have we had? 3 off the over so far. With 1 ball left of Ackerman's spell, and he comes now. He bowls, and it's played down the ground, but it wasn't well timed at all, and that is a single added to the total. So 118 for 5 is the score. Khan will keep the strike, and there's a big round of applause, deservedly so, for Colin Ackerman at the end of that spell. 4 overs, 2 for 21. And that has probably changed the course of the game. They put the squeeze on in the middle overs on Yorkshire, Leicestershire, and look like they're favourites to win this. The Vikings need 94 to win in 8 overs, so they need 13.5 and over, and they're going at 9. That run rate is dropping quite considerably as we end near towards the innings, and the pressure piled on for this chase.
Callum Parkinson will finish off from the Bennett end, comes in and bowls to Shadab Khan, who steers it, not exactly where he wanted to hit it, out through the cover area, down towards Aaron Lilly out there. Then he raises his hand. I don't know what about really. And he's looked unhappy about something. Not quite sure what. Could have always stepped away if he wasn't ready. Parkinson is into Brook. Big swing and a miss outside off stump, trying to hit it over mid-wicket. Sign of desperation, arguably, on the part of Brook. Khan 2 off 4 as Parkinson is in to Brook, who drives in the air just wide of the reaching Ackerman at wide extra cover. Almost got there. Leicestershire's South African captain couldn't quite pluck the ball out of the air. He picks up 2, Brook, as Mulder runs around from long off to wide extra cover, deep extra cover to make the fielding complete. Parkinson is in. Brook is hitting straight this time. Mulder should cut it off and does. Good work running away to his right this time. From long off to a very straight long off means that it's just a single on that occasion to Harry Brook. 21 off 17 for him. 90 more needed by the Vikings to win. Parkinson is in. Shadab Khan is trying to hit out into the leg side. Thin bottom edge, and it trickles to Rishi Patel at short fine leg, and there is no run. Just beginning to wonder whether Yorkshire sort of settling for 4th, and an away match at Surrey on Wednesday, I think, would be the result. In goes Parkinson, bowls. Shadab Khan hits across the line, pulls it, but again doesn't time it at all. Trickles out towards mid on. In from long on comes Lewikin, but 1 is taken. 123 for 5. Parkinson has 1 for 31 from his 4 overs, but the squeeze since the power play means that Yorkshire now very much on the back foot.
Just been tweeted by Scott George Curtis. Thank you for that. Did you know that Colin Ackerman is no longer the world record holder?
I didn't. No.
Neither did I, and he's right. Frederick Overdyke got 7 for 3 in a T20I match for the Netherlands, funnily enough, as you say, Ackerman's nation, against France, where they got 33. 7 for 3.
Against France, though?
Yeah. Still a T20I match. He's no longer the world record holder. VR Mulder to bowl. A bouncer hit high up in the air. It's sky, but it's going to fall safely. Lily's going to run in. It's going to land about 10 feet in front of him. Yes, I appreciate it's not quite the same as Leicestershire.
No, but I do appreciate you letting us know in the what's it called, that competition? I can't remember, the Emerging Nations T20, something like that.
Yes,
wow.
7 for 3.
Well, it's got. At least he'll be happy it's gone to another.
Yes, he will be.
Not.
7 for 18, Ackerman's figures, 2019 against Birmingham Bears. Mulder comes in now, he bowls, and his attempted scoop as he moves across his line, attempted ramp from Brook, he fails to connect, and 124
I wonder if he's aware. I would imagine he's aware.
I imagine he probably
the Netherlands results. Otherwise, I look forward to breaking it to him. Just to complete what's been a wonderful day, Ackers.
Brook 21, Shadab Khan 4, 124 for 5. That run rate now, Richard, is up over 15 and a half.
Yeah.
88 to win off 5.4 as Mulder comes in. That's hit high. That's a brilliant hit. Oh no, I thought there's not got the distance on that I thought. Mike's under it, takes it, and stutters and stumbles a bit, but takes the catch in the end. And that is probably game, set and match for Leicestershire, as Brook has to depart, caught on the boundary at long off. At first I thought he got all of it. It was sailing high towards us in the commentary box, but it was only high, not with any distance at all. So the 6th wicket falls, and that is probably it for Yorkshire. Brook goes for 21, 124 for 6. They need 88 to win of 5.3 overs, but that may be becoming a little bit academic. Leicestershire just need the 4 wickets.
Yeah, it was a difficult catch because it was in the air for so long. It was so high, and he did stagger slightly as he caught it, but he didn't juggle with it at all. Ben Mike took it pretty cleanly.
I think he stuttered slightly because he was on the boundary. Yeah, he was on the boundary just a few feet away from it, but it was very well taken by Ben Mike, one of the better fielders in the Leicestershire team. Oh, it's so frustrating. It's slightly counterfactual, Richard, to start talking about Leicestershire would be going through at this point, because of course if it was a winner-takes-all game, you would have thought Yorkshire would have played slightly differently. But still, Mulder up to the wicket, he bowls. Oh, and beats him outside off stump. There's an appeal for a catch and the work finger is raised. So Mulder gets 2 in 2. That was a beauty to Thompson. Just held its line, maybe moved and nibbled away a little bit. And he dangled the bat and edged it through to Lewis Hill. And he has to depart. The all-rounder leaves the field. 124 for 7 the score. Mulder on a hat-trick.
Proper wicket.
Yeah, it was.
You don't often see those in T20. Just maybe moved away a bit, had a little fence at it, little twitch at it. Jordan Thompson took the outside edge and Hill took a fairly straightforward catch behind the stumps. So for the second time in the game, somebody's on a hat-trick. So
Leicestershire's record, if we think what's going to happen is going to happen, which is that Leicestershire win this game, they certainly should. They would have won 8 games and not gone through.
Typical, only Leicestershire. Some people will say, well, you know, but it's not so much the punishment as I think. Well, many Leicester supporters will feel the inconsistency that the smaller counties, particularly Leicestershire, do tend to cop much tougher punishments than some of the bigger counties. That is the perception.
Mulder on a hat-trick, up to the wicket, he bowls and it's hit down the ground. Not a convincing shot at all from Hill, and it's collected by Kimber Hill, the new batsman, in at number 9. And Mulder 2 for 23. So a rather defiant chant from the Leicestershire fans goes around Grace Road. It's been, you know, again, it's just that real sense of frustration and bittersweetness. They have done so well in some regards, Leicestershire, but just not enough. And that punishment has cost them. Guided behind. Oh, and it bounces and bobbles. That's horrible for Rishi Patel. It was glanced behind square on the offside from a wide ball from Mulder, and then it just shot up and darted off the surface to the left. Patel just stopped it going to the boundary, but they conceded 2 runs from it. End of the over. 2 wickets from it from Mulder, and probably the over that sealed victory for Leicestershire. So 5 overs remain.
Mulder gave Ahmed a big hug then for that stop, because as you say, it was sort of, it must have gone off at 45 degrees, having hit the ground there.
Changed direction and spat up off the surface, didn't it? So 1, 2, 6 for 7 is the score. So just 3 off that over and 2 wickets.
In goes Ahmed from the Bennett end. He's hit down towards long on. A remarkably casual piece of fielding down there by Louis Kimber, just reaching up to his right. He's probably about 6'3", something like that, Louis. And it was probably about 8.5 feet. That bounce just stuck up his right hand and took it as clean as you like. Ahmed is into George Hill, who goes back and pulls, gets a bottom edge, runs down to Parkinson at short fine leg, takes 1 anyway. A few dark clouds building up to the southwest, but they are not going to affect the game now, which is not quite done, but it isn't far away from being done. Ahmed is in, hit up into the air by Shadab Khan, should be caught, and is caught by Nick Welch, just walking in from backward point. So the end is coming quickly. Now, another wicket goes. 128 for 8, was 115 for 4, so 13 runs, 4 wickets for Yorkshire. As I say, well, you're probably right, Adam. You know, I'm not sure they'd have taken quite the approach that they have. It's not, they haven't been lackadaisical with the bat, but there's been a sort of slight sense of lack of, I don't know, total 100% commitment.
Yeah, and there have been probably risks taken that wouldn't otherwise have been taken, or there would have been that real sort of sense of desperation, I suppose. That's what's missing, isn't it? That desperation, the need to win is not there, and they've played like they don't need to win. Whereas
it feels that way.
Yeah, Leicestershire have played with sort of defiance, haven't they? To stick 2 fingers up to the Discipline Commission. Commission.
Don't do that.
Yeah, no. Not 2 points.
Not half. Matthew Revis comes to the crease. 128 for 8. Rehan Ahmed is in, bowls to him. The googly, he goes back and turns it out towards mid-wicket. Gallops down to the far end. In comes Naveen ul Haq to field. 1 is taken. 129 for 8. 83 needed. Rate required is now pretty much 20. As Ahmed is in, back goes George Hill. Tries to work it into the leg side. Doesn't get anything on it. Bounces off his pad into the offside. Again, the crowd, which would normally at this stage be celebrating like mad, is quietish. In goes Ahmed. Bowls pulled by Hill out towards mid-wicket. Naveen forms the long barrier, gets his throw away. Again, just one end of the over. 130 for 8. Just the 4 runs from the over. And since the power play, there have been only 2 overs that have yielded double figures for Yorkshire. The 10th, Callum Parkinson yielded 13. The 12th from Ahmed yielded 10. Otherwise, 6, 8, 2, 5, 5, 3 and 4.
So 130 for 8, 82 to win at 20 and over Yorkshire need with just 2 wickets left. Mulder, 2 for 25, comes in, bowls. That's a lovely drive, 4 runs, gorgeous shot from Hill, a orthodox textbook cover drive. He leant into that lovely foot movement, and the fielder is in at cover, Colin Ackerman. That was a glorious shot, one of the shots of the day probably, Richard, I would say. 134 for 8 the score.
Well, he's regarded, I think, as a sort of batting all-rounder really, George Hill, but that looked very much to be the case with that shot.
He's batting right across his stumps as Veer Mulder bowls on his legs, and it's clipped into the leg side. Lilly whips it. He really does sort of use his wrist to launch it in. 135 for 8. If you're just joining us and you haven't heard and you're expecting the straight shootout between Leicestershire and Yorkshire, you may not have heard Leicestershire docked 2 points for discipline breaches. Well, have lasted over a couple of years, but the straw that broke the camel's back against Northamptonshire on Friday. Mulder bowls, it's pulled uppishly, but there's no fielders on the infield on the leg side in front of square, so it goes to deep mid-wicket Lilly Fields, and single is added. Yeah, 2 breaches on Friday night against Northamptonshire. Aaron Lilly, verbal abuse against Jimmy Neesham, the Northamptonshire batter, and then Naveen Ul-Haq for bowling 2 beamers. Also punished, so 2 fixed penalties, which have meant they've been docked 2 points. And they won't go through, even though they will win this game. Mulder bowls, a good bouncer, and Hill was through the shot before it reached him. A slower one from him, and there's a dot ball. 1 or 2
wondering whether Yorkshire can drop enough in their run rate to let sort of Notts in through the back door, but they can't, basically.
Notts have won by 5 wickets with 1.5 overs left. That's not enough.
No.
I think we were.
Don't worry, Yorkshire folks.
Yeah,
it's fine.
What was the phrase that somebody used? We were chatting to John Mallett, the club photographer at Leicestershire, that basically Nottinghamshire would have had to have won by about 200 and Yorkshire would have had to have been bowled out by 10. As Mulder bowls another short delivery, it's pulled in front of square. Lilly will field another single. That's the kind of difference that you needed, isn't it? Yeah, so Yorkshire needed to be bowled out for 10, and Nottinghamshire needed to get an absolutely monstrous score and victory, which I suppose they could have got against strugglers Worcestershire, who've had an awful season.
So they beat Lancs on Friday, didn't they?
Yeah.
Ridiculously.
There's 3 other results. We had a delayed start to this game, which is why we're still going here on BBC Radio Leicester at 5:30 as Mulder bowls. It's a slower delivery, clipped into the leg side off the pads from Revis. He will move on to 3. Derbyshire have beaten Durham. Notts have beaten Worcestershire, and in the South Group, Gloucestershire have beaten Middlesex. 4 games tonight: Lancashire against Birmingham, Kent against Glamorgan, Somerset against Surrey, Sussex against Hampshire. But going into the final round of games, all of the quarter-final spots had actually been decided, haven't they? 1-3-8-4-8 is the score at the end of the 17th over. Mulder 3 overs, 2 for 33. Hale on 9, Revis on 3. We are essentially awaiting the inevitable, which is a Leicestershire victory here, as the Vikings need 74 to win off 3 overs with 2 wickets in hand.
Naveen looking to drag his wickets total up to something like last year's, which was 26. He's on 24 now, bowls to Matt Revis, who is leaning forward in defence. Poor fielding lets Leicestershire down there. Nick Welsh, as I said, isn't always the greatest in the field. somehow let that one squeeze through him and conceded an unnecessary single. Looks down at the ground accusingly. 139 for 8. It isn't going to matter. Need a boundary off every delivery of the last 3 overs. As Naveen is in, bowl short and slightly wide, cut by George Hill. Didn't quite time it as well as he would have liked. Lilly able to run around to his left from deep cover to field. Again, just a single. The crowd is okay. It's sort of subdued a little bit still. It's enjoying the wickets, but sitting back now and grumbling to itself, essentially. Naveen is in and bowls, makes a bit of room. Revis, it's a slower delivery from Naveen. The batter can only stroke it back to mid, on out towards long on, takes 1. Moves on to 5. Singles from each of the first 3 balls of Naveen's penultimate over. I would assume that unless all the wickets fall, he'll bowl the last as well. Comes in and bowls, steered towards backward point. Again, Welch lets it burst through his hands. And again, this time he concedes 3 as a consequence. Should have been at the very most 1. Turned into 3, but that's 3 misfields by Nick Welch, and as well for him that it at the moment is an irrelevance.
He looked ruefully at the pit. He looked ruefully at the surface, didn't he? But I think that was just
got to get something behind it. Yeah, long barrier, whatever. Naveen didn't look impressed. Run rate has gone up to 30 per over. It goes in and bowls, carved out to the offside. Lilly Fields running away to his left. Good throw from the Lancastrian. Just a single then, I think, in the end. He did get 2, didn't he, Hill there? He did come back for the second. 145 for 8. He has 13 now. Twiddles the bat in his hand. Change in the field. Parkinson comes up from long leg to short fine leg. Mid off goes out to long off. Naveen is in. Hill steps across, tries to hit across the line into the leg side. Doesn't get anything on it. Naveen appeals for leg before wicket. Hill, Lewis Hill, the wicket keeper that is, noticeably doesn't. It was going on down the leg side. End of the over. 145 for 8. 7 from it. 2 overs to go, 67 to win.
Well, Leicestershire have regained some pride from this performance. It's either going to go one of 2 ways. You felt there would be a bit of defiance, some guts about them, and they've shown that today. Whereas you did fear they could have lost their head after what happened this morning, but they have not done that. I'm sure that will be the message that we get from Paul Nixon, won't it? That will be how
yeah,
this
he'll be proud of them, and rightly so, I think.
Yeah, because it could have affected them. It would have been a tough day. Ahmed to continue, and there's a big heave. It's hit high up in the air. Will there be a catch here? Mulder's running in, takes it. Brilliant catch from the South African. He had to run at full tilt to get to that, dive to his left to get it as well. He was running in from the long on boundary to the outskirts of the ring and took it fantastically. The 9th wicket falls. Ahmed gets another. And is that 3 for
2 for Rehan?
2 for Rehan Ahmed, and he has dismissed Revis. No, I think it's 3 for 16. And he has dismissed Revis, and that is we're now just waiting for the inevitable. 1.5 overs to go. 9 wickets down for Yorkshire, and I wonder if they can bowl them all out.
If Ahmed can get the last, that'll give him 20 for the competition as well. So, as you say, an awful lot of positives for Leicestershire, but the biggest of all has been taken away from them.
Yeah. If the results had gone this way, Leicestershire would be playing in the quarter-finals next week. They will not be doing that, though. Best, the final man in. Don Bess It's a test number 8, isn't he? Ahmed comes in, bowls, and Bess works it off the back foot. And there is no run. He's off. I threw batted at number 8, didn't he, for England, Don Bess? He's picked for his batting sometimes, as well as his spin. He's coming in at number 11. Ahmed bowls. Oh, a nice googly. That turns back into Bess, who defends, pushes it out, and there is no run. The required run rate is now up to 45 and over. 3 balls left of this Ahmed over. He's up to the wicket. He bowls, and it's glanced into the leg side. There is 1 run. Sean Jarvis going to join Owen Palmer-Atkin, by the way, Richard, to talk about the docking of points for Leicestershire, because there's obviously been a lot of wheeling and dealing and negotiation in the background over the past 24 hours.
Been putting their case, Leicestershire, understandably.
Ahmed bowls, beats him outside off stump. There's an appeal, a celebration, and everybody's appealing. The umpire's finger is not going up. Lewis Hill and Rian Ahmed were certain. They didn't even appeal. They just started congratulating each other. But Hill stayed still, and the wicket has not been given. I thought that was all over, and Rian Ahmed had got his 4th wicket. But I think it was just a dot ball. I know.
Don't show any dissent.
He's still chatting his Lewis Hill to the square leg umpire. Oh, and the googly is bowled. It's a brilliant one. Almost completely deceives Hill. He just about gets the toe end of the bat on it, and it goes away for a single. And that is the end of the over. Brilliant stuff from Ahmed. 4 overs, 3 for 17. That's a top quality spell from the young man, and finishes a brilliant campaign for the 17-year-old. How many was that? 20 wickets? 19 wickets.
End, yeah.
19 wickets are fantastic. And then going at an economy rate of, what, 7.5? Yeah. That's fantastic from him. They found a real star there. We can't get too ahead of ourselves, but he certainly has the potential to be a real star. 66 needed off the final over for Yorkshire. This innings has completely collapsed when you think that after the power play they were well in the game. They were probably the favourites to win it at that point.
Yeah, only Callum Parkinson has bowled more overs in the T20 for Leicestershire this season. Naveen Ulhaq then trying to finish things off from the Bennett end, comes in and bowls outside off stump, comes back inside. Bess's ineffectual jab at the delivery outside off stump, taken quite low down by Lewis Hill, who's still sort of smiling in a disbelief behind the stumps there. That appeal for a catch. Well, it wasn't an appeal, was it? It was a sort of deal done, sort of. They were congratulating each other.
Celeb appeal.
Naveen is in, bowls very straight. Nice straight firm push by Bess back up the pitch on the on side. Kimber runs around from long on to field, and 1 is taken. Bess has a couple. George Hill has 13 off 13 balls. Going to finish 60 or so short. Yorkshire here, but not enough to make sufficient difference. It's not going to deny them that 4th place in the table. In goes Naveen and bowls the slower ball. Hill waits for it and just turns his wrists on it calmly out to Kimber at long gone. 1 is taken.
Yeah, Nottinghamshire's run rate 0.058. And Yorkshire's is very good, over 1.
+1.
Yeah, +1.
They're miles clear.
So they would have to have been absolutely demolished. Which in a sense they have been, but even worse than this. It's going to be a hammering, actually, from Leicestershire.
Naveen is in, a much slower ball on that occasion. Actually broke his wrist on it, so to speak, and it floated down towards Don Bess, who just calmly clipped it out towards mid-wicket. Naveen himself feels running across, and 1 is taken. Bess on to 3, 2 balls to go in Leicestershire's T20 campaign this season. Another match to come for the Vikings, and it looks like it's going to be Surrey at the Oval on Wednesday. Don't hold me to that, but I think that is how the equation is now stacking up. Naveen is in and bowls another slower ball, waiting for it. Hill drives out through mid-on off the back foot to Kimber at long gone. Again, a single is taken. The 150 is up for the Vikings, which won't be any sort of compensation, I don't imagine, to them, but it'd be difficult for Yorkshire, I think, in the circumstances. They've had 2 sort of tough defeats, first at Birmingham and then here at the Uptonsteel County Ground. So they're going to have to find a bit of confidence and something special against a ferociously strong Surrey side on Wednesday. But good luck to Yorkshire in that. It's we know it's not personal. You can always give up your place to us if you want, but I don't think you want to. In goes Naveen and bowls on the back foot. Bess turns the delivery out towards mid-wicket, and that is us done. 151 for 9, the Vikings' final score, which means that Leicestershire have beaten them by 60 runs and have won 5 matches in a row and have not qualified for the quarterfinals of the T20 competition.
Well, again, I'm not sure how useful it is to say things like, well, if they'd had that result, Leicestershire would have gone through. Under different circumstances, we would have been celebrating joyously about Leicestershire reaching the quarterfinals after that win, but that's a slightly counterfactual approach, because the game was played, I think, particularly by Yorkshire, without the desperation, without that feeling of a straight shootout, a do-or-die game. Leicestershire have finished this tournament in style with 5 wins in a row, some really impressive victories, and they've absolutely hammered Yorkshire today, particularly when the game it was in the balance. The spinners of Ackerman and Ahmed did really well in those middle overs to get the squeeze on after the power play was a pretty brutal one from Adam Lyth in particular. And they've won 8 games and not gone through. Leicestershire have, on the field, done themselves proud in terms of the cricket. It's just such a shame that what happened earlier on with that 2-point docking, meaning that they will not make it through. They will finish on 14 points, having won 8 games, and they will finish their T20 Blast campaign with a little bit of a sour note, even though they have won very impressively here at Grace Road. They have won, as you say, Richard, by 60 runs. Brilliant effort from them. Owen Palmer-Atkins is down pitch side for us.
I certainly am, Adam. Thank you very much. Yes, as you rightly say, Leicestershire win by 60 runs here at Grace Road, and the Leicestershire fans in a very joyful mood almost after it means that despite winning by that kind of margin, despite winning this game at all, it means they will not find themselves in the quarterfinals of the T20 Blast, despite winning 5 games in a row to end their T20 Blast campaign. And we will be hearing from the Leicestershire head coach Paul Nixon. We'll be hearing from the Leicestershire chief executive Sean Jarvis as well, after a bit of a dramatic 24 hours here at Leicestershire. But Richard, this is a result, and this is something that we will speak about between now and 6 o'clock, that kind of shows, after everything that Leicestershire have been through this season, that the smaller counties still very much have a place in county cricket. The fact that a side like Leicestershire can win 5 games in a row in this competition, and should, had it not been for a disciplinary issue, find themselves in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, what those at the